What's up everyone, how are you all? Today we are back with another blazing Naruto story. Naruto becomes a Hanyou council bashing. If you enjoy then please like, share and do comments. A breeze swept through the night and lights lit the air making it glow and seem unreal. There were still people out enjoying the cool October air of Konohagore, or otherwise known as the Leaf Village. Today was a day of happiness and sorrow as it was October 10th. 10 years ago this very same day there was a great battle against the Kyuubi no Kitsune, the nine-tailed fox. Many people lost loved ones that day. Their hero Minato Namikaze, the fourth Hokage, saved them by sacrificing himself to kill the Kyuubi. That was the common knowledge around the village, except for that wasn't the whole story. The fourth actually sealed the demon inside a young infant named Naruto Uzumaki, and the third Hokage made a law that forbade anyone to talk about it with a punishment of death. Sadly, to make things worse, the villagers found out, so naturally the villagers ended up ignoring him like he was trash, even kicking him out the orphanage at the age of 5. He lived on the streets for over a year avoiding everyone or else he would be beat. It took the Hokage a long time to find the boy, and when he did he was pissed. Naruto had lived in the wild a long time inside a hollowed-out tree and was filthy. The Hokage decided to give Naruto an apartment and have Inu teach Naruto the basics of living and to take an intelligence test. He scored a 200, making him a pure genius, surprising the Hokage. Naruto was smart and studied all the time, and armed with shadow clones he learned as much as he could. But sadly the villagers tried to hamper him by selling him overpriced or rotten food or torn clothes and beat him constantly. He went to the hospital at least twice a week with serious injuries. Speaking of beatings, Naruto's birthday was the worst. It was when they actually tried to kill him and gathered mobs to do it. Here we find Naruto running as fast as he could again on his 12th birthday from the villagers. The edge of the woods. Naruto, a 5 feet 12-year-old boy wearing an black Anbu shirt with black pants to fit along with spiky blonde short hair and 3 whisker marks on each cheek. He was currently running from the villagers as fast as his 12-year-old body could handle. "Get back here, demon brat," one villager called. "Let's finish what the Yondaime started," another shouted. "Thank Kami for my endless stamina," Naruto thought as he was running from the villagers, still shouting insults and calling him demon. "Why do they call me these things? What did I do to deserve this?" Naruto thought before trying to turn around to tell them they're wrong when he saw a few Chunin gaining on him. Shit, was his only thought. He knew he was fast but not fast enough to outrun the Chunin, so without a second thought he ran straight into the woods and hid in the hollowed-out trunk of his old tree home. "This is a lot better than facing them. Please don't let them find me," Naruto thought as he tried to slow his labored breathing. Outside the woods a Chunin gathered the mob. "We will either kill the demon or we will end up flushing it out," the man yelled to them before turning to the woods shouting, "Fire style flow," he said, letting a stream of fire come out his mouth to ignite the woods, while those who couldn't use fire technique used fire seals. They sat and cheered as they just killed the Kyuubi brat and started to walk off to tell the town the news before they heard a blood-curdling scream. Turning around they saw the lifeless body of the shinobi from before. Soon, they started to drop one by one like the pests they are. When one villager was left he cried out in fear, "What are you?" before hearing a twig snap to turn around, staring right into red eyes as the last thing he would ever see. Naruto waited for a minute or two in the safety of the trunk. What is happening? Did they leave? He waited a couple minutes to see if the coast was clear as he slowly sneaked a peek outside the hole to be frozen in terror. The woods was on fire and spreading near him fast. Naruto wanted to call out for help, but who would I call to? No one will help me, Naruto thought to himself. So he just sat in the tree awaiting his death as he thought of all his dreams he would not get to accomplish and a certain lavender-eyed beauty he would never see again. "As soon as I get out of here I will confess to Hinata-chan first thing and get stronger in order to protect her," he thought, remembering when he first met her. Flashback. 10-year-old Naruto had just left his new apartment towards a shop called Ichiraku's Ramen, where they actually were nice towards him and fed him. As he was walking near the woods where he felt safest he overheard, "Say you're sorry," a boy about 3 years older said, rubbing a girl around his age face into the dirt. "What the hell is this?" Naruto thought, pissed at the older boys. "Hey assholes, stop that," Naruto said with a flying kick to the one who had the girl down. The older kid hit his head against the tree and blacked out. The other two that were with him picked him up and took off, not wanting to get the same treatment from Naruto. Naruto walked up to the girl and helped her up. "Hey, are you okay? Oh, now you're hurt. Come with me, I know where you can treat your wounds," Naruto said, noticing she had scrapes and bruises on her. The girl just nodded shyly. Naruto noticed that she was shy and also noticed how cute she was. Wait, cute? Hanyou cute, Naruto thought as he took her to his apartment. She was around his age and 4 feet 2 inches and was wearing a lavender jacket and had Hanyou-style hair and the most beautiful lavender eyes. When he opened the door to his apartment, he took her to his kitchen. "Okay, go ahead and sit down and let me clean your wounds," Naruto said to the girl. "He's so nice to me and we just met." "What?" Hinata thought before complying. Naruto pulled out a big box full of medical supplies since he got hurt so much. "Alright, this will sting a bit," he said, cleaning her wounds with disinfectant, making her wince before he put a band-aid on her cheek. "Before you go, may I ask why did they hurt you?" he asked with a sad tone. "Oh no, will he think I am stupid and weak too?" she thought, but decided to tell him anyway since he went through all the trouble to help her. It was BB because OFM my eyes," she said timidly. Naruto looked at her eyes and noticed they had a lavender color to them. "I don't see anything wrong with your eyes. They quite pretty actually," Naruto said, making Hinata turn a deep crimson. "He thinks my eyes are pretty?" she thought. Why you are really think so?" she asked, unsure if she heard him right. "Of course I am sure, in fact those are the prettiest eyes I have ever seen. You shouldn't let what people say bother you," Naruto said, wanting to see her reaction as she turned a new deep red and fainted. Naruto chuckled and picked her up bridal style and ran off, sneaking her into her room at the Hyuga compound, putting her on her bed and a note on her nightstand before taking off. The note read, "Hinata-chan, don't let what people say bother you. I think you are strong, so don't ever let them bully you again, and if they do, you know where to get me. Sincerely, Naruto." Flashback end. As Naruto was remembering about Hinata, he failed to notice a man approaching him, and soon Naruto blacked out from smoke inhalation. The man was 8 feet 2 inches and had long black spiky hair with the bluest eyes you could ever see, and black vest with blue trimming and shinobi pants and sandals with a black mask with lightning crackling all over him, carrying a black fusion sword with arm guards. He has Raiden's clothes from MK but in black. "I have finally found you. Uzumaku Arashi no Kami, god of the swirling storm," the man said before disappearing with Naruto in a loud crash and lightning. Mindscape. Naruto woke up in what looked like a sewer and was up to his shins in water. As he stood there, he started thinking, strange, why would someone take me from the woods to a sewer? Before he decided to take a walk since he had nothing better to do. He walked around the hallways for a while until he heard a deep rumble. When he followed the sounds of a low grumbling like snoring walking up to the cage, Naruto met with a big mound of what looked like red fur. Excuse me, Naruto called out to the mound. Slowly it rose and Naruto was staring straight into a pair of blood-red eyes. "So Kit, you finally decided to visit. Before you ask 100 questions you may want to sit this on down, it will take a long time to explain," the giant fox said, and since Naruto had nothing better to do he followed its orders. "Well, for starters, we are in your mind. This is your mindscape and I am stuck here." Naruto nodded slowly in understanding before seeming like he was concentrating hard, and in a flash the cage and sewer were gone, and in its place was a meadow next to some woods and on the other side a beach with a house. Not only that, the seal dissolved into nothing. Seeing his seal removed and the nice change of scenery, the fox grinned. "Why did you do this? I haven't even introduced myself," he asked curiously. "Because I wanted to change it somewhere nice for you, and you don't deserve to be stuck in a smelly old cage." "Nobody deserves that," Naruto responded thoughtfully. "You have made a good impression to me. Therefore I will tell you my name, for it is the mighty demon lord Kurama. And I shall tell you all I know." Kurama told Naruto and continued on telling him about what happened 3 years ago, about how Kurama was his parents' friend and how he was ripped out of his mother's seal and forced to attack them and the leaf, and how his parents defeated him and sealed him in Naruto, but it was too late, so he promised to help him in his life. He went as far as to tell Naruto he would tell him his heritage. When Kurama was done, he watched Naruto as he looked confused, then mad, then happy, then sad. Truth be told, he looked like a clown. "I am truly sorry about your parents," Kurama tried to say but was cut off when Naruto said, "Don't. It's not your fault, it's that asshole Uchiha's fault." I don't blame you, in fact I'm really happy because you told me everything I wanted to know, my parents, the reason why I am hated, and even that you will stay with me and help me. So do I get to learn the Haraishin or any other jutsu? Oh, and do I get a cool title like the Sanin? Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze, the Kitsune Sanin? Or will you even be my first friend? Naruto asked excitedly, looking at the giant fox, who was shocked at first then chuckled deeply. How about when we wake up we learn all you can about your powers that you unlocked due to releasing the seal, and yes. Let me think on your title, and since you are neither afraid or mad, or want power for the wrong reasons, I shall be your friend and sensei. Are you okay, Kit? Kurama asked as Naruto was clearly in pain. He didn't know why, but his eyes hurt. I don't know why, but my eyes hurt, he said before passing out. Kurama decided to check his systems and was surprised at what he found. Smiling, he said to himself, "Father was always full of surprises." Your father was a great man, Kurama heard, turning around to stare face to face at a man he knew all too well, making him chuckle. So, he is the one. This is going to be fun. Raijin or Alex Arashi, which one was it again? He stated to the man before laying down. Indeed, Kurama. It is Alex Arashi right now. When he wakes we should talk to him about everything. And training will be interesting, the man said, smiling wickedly at the thought of training Naruto to the ground. At the Hokage Tower, Naruto woke up to see a man standing at the Hokage's desk talking to the Hokage. The Hokage was talking to the man in a hushed tone with distress and curiousness in his eyes until he noticed Naruto awake and saw his eyes, though were still blue but also had black swirls, slowly spinning with 3 tomo spinning the opposite direction, and his hair was slightly longer and he was more toned. Naruto, what happened to your eyes? He asked curiously. Naruto then hugged the Hokage. Hokage Gigi, you won't believe it. I met this old dude named Hagoromo Otsutsuki and he told me I was his last descendant. He said I was a special case and instead of the Rinnegan I got a new more powerful dujutsu and bloodline he never knew could happen. He said it was the Uzugin, a mixture of the Rinnegan, Sharingan and the Byakugan, and my bloodline. He said that I somehow created a new dujutsu by mixing the blood of an Uzumaki, Otsutsuki, and Namikaze, and something about Arashi blood with demon blood and the famed Flash bloodline. Naruto kept going on as the 2 others watched, as he didn't even seem winded. He also said I was related to Alex Arashi, whoever that is, and I had divine blood. He said because of all the ancestral blood in me, it merged when I was going through a lot of emotions, and when I ripped the seal it surged my blood. He said it gives me the abilities of all the dujutsu and some more. And to make things even cooler, he said I was the son of Minato Namikaze and Kushina Uzumaki. He said he was my great ancestor and that I am also related to someone named Alex Arashi, and they would come get me once they found me. He gave me his chakra and his knowledge on most things chakra related. Not only that, I also found out now I am a Hanyou and something called a divine being, he said excitedly, and so fast he ran out of breath. The Hokage and Alex just stared at him like he grew a head. Please start from the beginning and explain. Slowly, the Hokage asked, slowly trying to process all he heard. So I passed out and woke up in this big room with this old dude. He said he was the sage of 6 paths, Hagoromo Otsutsuki, and that he preserved his unconscious in me. He told me I was his last descendant and that when I removed Kurama-kun's seal that I took too much of his chakra at once and it turned me into a Hanyou. Naruto said as he stopped talking to make a tail and fox ears appear, making the Hokage gasp, but soon got control of himself, telling him to continue while thinking, Naruto, you're just full of surprises. He said I have demon and divine blood and they mixed, making a new dujutsu that was stronger than anything he thought was possible, and said with it will come knowledge on how to use it. It's like a mix of the Sharingan and Byakugan and the Rinnegan, but that's not all. I can use all the elements and sub-elements now, I just need to learn the jutsu and how to mold it, but since it's like the Sharingan I can learn faster too. And the bloodline of the Flash makes me super fast, as well as I can use the Hiraishin, Flying Thunder God technique. And the other bloodline is not really anything normal. It's called God Release, which he said Alex would tell me more. So in reality with shadow clones, since I can make over 1000 and the Sharingan's photographic memory and the Flash technique, I will be able to learn a lot of things in a short amount of time. Naruto said with a big smile at the sight of the Hokage's jaw dropping on the floor. As the Hokage was shaking his head trying to process what just happened, the man walked up to Naruto. Hello Naruto, I am Alex Arashi. But you probably already know that. he said, making Naruto nod. Good. Good, well, I am proud to say I am your greatest ancestor. I am the god of lightning and storms. Let's talk about this more in your mindscape, he said, making Naruto's jaw drop and nod dumbly. As they meditated, Naruto went to his mindscape with Alex. Mindscape. Naruto showed up inside the house sitting in a chair while Alex sat across him, and oddly enough Kurama was about the size of a wolf laying down. Naruto. I am the god of storms and you are one of my greatest sons down the line. I shall tell you the short version. Now, a long time ago there was this beautiful woman named Tomomi Namikaze. Alex started explaining to Naruto, who was listening now, and me and her fell in love. Soon she gave birth to a child we named Nenma Namikaze. As she grew older and our son grew up, I knew I could see her in the heavens once she passed, and so that I did. I returned to the heavens and spent my life with the one woman I truly loved, he said as Naruto zoned into his story. I mean, it's not every day you hear about a god's life. Soon time flew by for both of us and we saw how your life was turning. We are truly sorry, but nonetheless she told me, a god, that I better go down here to help you. Little did I know that you unlocked the powers of a half-god. That is your bloodline from me. You're the god of swirling storms, aka Uzumaku Arashi no Kami, from my long line of sons. Alex said, letting it sink in. Naruto looked ecstatic. So that means I can get stronger, right? He asked the god with a smile, thinking, now I can protect my precious people. And Hinata-chan, with a smile. I would normally be mad that you thought of power the first thing. But I can hear your thoughts in here. You want power to protect and make peace. That is very noble of you, he said with a smile. So Naruto and the two deities talked about training and living arrangements. Naruto, tomorrow I will come and pick you up to train you. We shall leave and go to my realm where I and Kurama can train you. Oh, and also, since you are technically part demon and part god, you have a stronger chakra than any other mortal. Alex explained before Kurama spoke up. Naruto, since you are part fox demon now, you can speak to foxes and hear and smell better, and feel emotions. I shall train you in my ways along with Alex, the beast said, laying back down. Naruto nodded and smiled. Hey Alex-san, I was wondering if I could have an outfit like yours. Oh, and that cool sword too. I want to be just like you. Strong and able to protect the one you love, Naruto said, making Alex smile. Sure. Let me guess, black with orange trimming and a mask like mine, he said, making Naruto nod. Okay, I think I am ready to go back to the Hokage, Naruto said as he started to disappear. Back in the Hokage tower. The Hokage was currently sitting at his desk smoking his pipe while waiting for Naruto-kun and this mysterious Alex guy to wake up. The Hokage had gone through what Naruto had told him and was at a loss for words. Naruto stirred and bolted up and ran to Sarutobi, Hokage Gigi. I know my past, I have a question, Naruto asked as Alex walked up to Naruto and Naruto hugged his leg. What is it, Naruto-kun? And now that you're awake, care to introduce me to this man? The Hokage asked. Naruto looked up to Alex and asked silently if he could tell. Alex nodded and Naruto smiled. This is Raijin, the god of storms and lightning, and my ancestor, Naruto explained, and the Hokage smiled weakly. Naruto-kun, you can't believe everything you are told, the Hokage said, and was about to yell at the man for lying to Naruto when he noticed the man was shooting off sparks of lightning. Careful of what you say, mortal. I am a god, are you to oppose me? Alex said, and the Hokage paled before shaking his head vigorously before fainting. Naruto and Alex waited for him to wake up before Naruto spoke to his grandfather figure. Hey Gigi, I want to take a leave from the academy for training. And I also request access to the Namikaze compound. Naruto asked, and the Hokage looked thoughtful. I guess, but Naruto, I want you to take the academy test in 2 years, okay? He said, to which Naruto nodded, agreeing. Alright Gigi, see you later. I have to pack, he said excitedly, leaving the office as Alex returned to Naruto's seal to make some changes, without Naruto's knowledge, but he would be grateful. Exceptionally, the girl that occupied Naruto's thoughts. Naruto had just left the Hokage tower, still giddy at the idea of training, and decided to hide his fox features from the villagers, otherwise it will be a huge problem. Naruto noticed the villagers still glaring at him, so he decided to go walking down an alley that led to his house. As he was walking, he heard someone softly sobbing. That's weird, he thought. Curious, he went looking for the source, and to his utter disbelief it was Hinata. She was curled up in a ball and her clothes were dirty and torn with bruises all over. Who could have done this? Naruto thought, trying to control his rage. Hinata was curled into a ball as she kept going over everything that happened to her just yesterday, not noticing Naruto was there. She spoke softly to herself. I can't believe Father K kicked me out and had me sealed. They are right, I am worthless, a failure. I can't even tell Naruto-kun how I feel, she said as she cried herself to sleep from being emotionally tired. Naruto picked her up bridal style and took off with her in his arms as it started to rain. Just you wait, Hiyashi, because I shall destroy you. Naruto's apartment. Naruto arrived at his apartment and went straight to the bedroom and set her down softly on his bed. He sat down on the edge of the bed and tried concentrating to talk with his hosts, keyword tried, because he was so pissed at the Hyuga clan he couldn't even think straight. Guys, I was wondering if I could tell Hinata about everything, like about you and what I found out today. Who knows, it might help her perk up, knowing she has me. Naruto thought while sitting on the edge of the bed watching over her with caring in his eyes. Fine by me, Naruto-kun. I hope she takes it well, Alex responded, and Kurama smiled. Naruto quickly went to the Hyuga clan while Hinata was sleeping and grabbed her clothes and personal belongings before leaving, all the while trying not to destroy everything in sight. He left being undetected due to his Uzugen. He could see where the guards were and where they were looking and patrolling. When Naruto got back to his apartment, he set her stuff down near the bed and set a set of clothes in the bathroom. While he waited for her to get up, he made tea and ran the bath water to make it warm. After that, he cleaned up his apartment. He finished really fast thanks to shadow clones, and when he was done with that he sat and waited about 15 minutes longer for her to finally wake up until he felt Hinata stirring and slowly open her beautiful lavender eyes. Hinata woke up and stared at the ceiling in a different room than her usual one. That's strange, why am I not in my room? Oh, yeah, she thought before she started to cry softly, remembering what happened to her. Suddenly she felt a hand rubbing her back, making her eep and jolt. While the hand comfortingly lifting her head, she saw the warmest, brightest blue eyes of her, Naruto, staring at hers. Noticing the swirl pattern almost immediately. Is Naruto alright? Why is he here, she thought. Naruto stared at her for a while before he asked her, Hinata-chan, are you okay now? I heard you talking about what happened with you. Don't worry, Hinata-chan, I am here for you if you need it, Naruto said in a soft, caring voice. When she heard him, she couldn't believe it. Naruto-kun is saying he's here for me. He cares. But I don't want to disappoint him, she thought before saying, why would you want to help me? I am just a failure. With her head down but could quickly feel Naruto's anger rise. Is he mad at me? She thought, but was brought out of her thoughts when Naruto lifted her chin. Hinata-chan, you're not a failure. Whoever told you that is wrong, and I want to help you because you're strong and I know it. Remember my letter, I know that. You're kind, gentle, strong, and a beautiful girl. That I love, he said with a warm and sweet voice. It's now or never. Naruto thought before bending over and giving her a kiss on the lips, showing her his love for her. Hinata was shocked when she felt Naruto's warm lips on hers. Am I in heaven? Naruto just said all those things and is kissing me, she thought before returning the kiss, moving her lips with his. They felt tingly as they kissed and were happy. What is this tingling feeling I get? I am sure it is love. I may not know love, but this feels nice. I never want this feeling to stop, Naruto thought before regrettably breaking the kiss. When they finally broke apart, Naruto smiled warmly at her and she felt warm inside again. She started to cry, sobbing on Naruto's shoulder. Naru-kun, thank you so much. I love you too. I have wanted to confess to you ever since you saved me from those bullies and have been helping me. But I wasn't brave enough to confess to you. Thank you for being here for me, she said while hugging him. They sat there for a while until Naruto spoke up. Hinata-chan, I am going to do something for you, but then I want you to listen to what I have to say. Afterwards I prepared a bath and some tea. And I can make dinner while you're in the bathroom, Naruto said as she could only nod her head yes. He started to remove the bandages that were covering her caged bird seal, making her a little uncomfortable. Naru-kun? She said hesitantly, making him smile at her name for him. Hina-chan, I am going to remove the seal. And then I want you to hold my hands and relax, okay? He asked again, and all Hinata could do was nod, thinking, how will he remove the seal? Naruto placed his index and middle finger on her seal and searched his memories for the right jutsu telling him what to do. As he went through the hand signs: dog right pointing arrow, tiger right pointing arrow, dragon right pointing arrow, uzu, Uzumaki's special hand seal, and said Uzu's seal break, making Hinata's seal glow. The seal started to swirl and dissolve until it was no more. Perfect, he thought before turning to her. Wait here, he said as he ran off and grabbed a hand mirror from his bathroom before returning to show her the seal was gone. "Oonn Naru-kun te thank why you so much," she said while sobbing before tackling him on the bed and kissing him with all her love. Naruto at first was shocked but then returned the kiss with equal love, enjoying this new feeling. When they broke, Naruto grabbed Hinata's hand. "Okay, now I am going to take us somewhere, so just try to go with the pulling feeling, okay?" he asked as he tried pulling her into his mindscape. Hinata felt herself being dragged and allowed herself to be pulled in. Mindscape. Naruto and Hinata were inside the house in his mindscape, and Hinata looked around confused. "Where are we, Naru-kun?" she asked before someone answered her. "You are in his mind. This is his mindscape, a representation of his mind," Alex said as Hinata noted, a very tall man was standing in the house. Who are you? Why are you in Naru-kun's mind?" she asked. "I am the god of thunder and lightning, but you may call me Alex Arashi. I along with Kurama live inside your boyfriend, but I can leave at will as I am a god and Naruto ancestor. Which brings me to my next point. You and Naruto shall receive training from me, seeing as how that thing you call a father abandoned you," he said with a smile on his face. Naruto and the two deities decided to tell Hinata about Naruto and his condition and about Kurama. And that is the story thus far. He is a half-god half-demon with the features of a fox demon. "So does this change how you see Naruto?" Kurama said, looking at Hinata. Hinata turned and looked at Naruto, who looked uncomfortable. "No, it doesn't. It just makes me love him more. He has such a big burden and still struggles but always moves forward and never gives up. He gives me my strength to move on." "Naru-kun, can I see your tail and ears?" she asked with a nervous smile, hoping he wouldn't be upset. Seeing she was trying to cheer him up, Naruto made his tails and ears appear. They're so cute and fluffy," she said, hugging one before Naruto wrapped a tail around her waist and brought her over to him. Wrapping his arms around her, he looked into her eyes and lightly kissed her before putting his forehead against hers. "I love you, my lavender bunny," he said with a fox smile as she kissed him back before saying, "And I love you to my sly fox." Happy and content, they finished the night with a bath, separately, and dinner before they had to sleep. When Naruto was preparing to sleep on the floor, Hinata spoke up. "Naru-kun, you don't have to sleep on the floor. We could share the bed," she said with a blush as she moved over to make him some room. Not a second later, Naruto was laying in bed holding Hinata protectively. "It's as if he's protecting me even in his sleep," the thought making her smile as he gave her a kiss on the forehead before saying, "I love you," before he fell asleep. Hinata just laid there thinking, "Naruto-kun, I promise to get stronger for you," as she went to sleep with new thoughts. Next morning, Hokage Tower. The Hokage was getting ready to meet Naruto when his secretary called him through the intercom. "Sir, the council has been summoned," she said, cutting the line. He groaned and could only think what this was about. Naruto, as he made his way to the council room, he thought about how they have been treating Naruto and thinking they could get away scot-free. "Well, no more. This is my village. I am Hokage. I am the law," he thought, taking a drag from his pipe. The Hokage burst through the doors and demanded, "What is the meaning of this council?" In an authoritative tone, looking at the people assembled, they were none other than Shikaku Nara, Choza Akamichi, Inoichi Yamanaka, Sume Inazuka, Shibi Aburame, and Hiyashi Hyuga to his left. The civilian council is to his right with his advisors next to the civilian council. "We are here to talk about the demo," a civilian was saying before he dropped dead from a kunai, and the Hokage didn't even flinch. "Let me get this clear. Anyone who mistreats Naruto shall be executed, and furthermore you shall refer to me as Hokage-sama, and from this point further on the civilian side and my trustworthy advisors are hereby disbanded," he said in a tone that promised pain to those who refused. The shinobi side was very pleased that the civilians who decided to try and rule a shinobi village finally got removed, while they ran out the room not wanting to lose their head, while his advisors were struggling on either argue and die or leave and lose. In the end they left reluctantly, and the Hokage smirked. "All right, now is there anything else?" the Hokage asked, and they remained silent. "Then this meeting is dismissed," he said, walking out to go see Naruto. Few minutes earlier at Naruto's apartment, Naruto woke up wondering why something heavy was on his chest before looking down to see Hinata sleeping on him with her head on his chest and her beautiful hair sprawled about. Naruto smiled. I hope I can wake up like this all the time, he thought, running his hand through her hair. Looking at the clock, it read 6 a.m. Sighing, Naruto knew he had to get up, so he tried something with his new additions. Using his tail, he stroked Hinata's cheek, making her stir. Hina, we have to get up, he said softly, kissing her forehead, waking her up the rest of the way. Hinata saw his tail stroking her and she hugged it close to her. Naru-kun, that tickles. 5 more minutes. Please, she mumbled, looking up at him with puppy dog eyes and a small pout. Ah man, how can I say no when you do that? Fine, 5 more minutes can't hurt, he said with a smile. It's not that the Hokage will be here anytime soon. 7 minutes later they were still in bed, but Naruto was cuddling with Hinata while talking. Hey Hina-chan. I may not know a whole lot about love, but I hope we can figure this out together, he said, making her smile and cry a little with tears. Nodding, she kissed him slowly, but there was a knock at the door interrupting them. Naruto groaned, why, and pouted as he dragged himself out the bed as he got up and went to the door. When he opened the door, he saw the Hokage with a man whose hair seemed to have gravity-defying hair, slightly surprising him. Oh hey Gigi. Mister, come on in, Naruto said happily. When they came in, they saw Hinata come out the bedroom and walk up to Naruto and hugging his arm. Maybe now will be as good a time as any, Naruto thought before asking, Hokage Gigi, I was wondering if you could give me a little bit more money until I reach Genin, Naruto asked in a serious tone, completely taking the Hokage off guard. What happened, Naruto? Is this about Hinata? The Hokage asked. Naruto nodded and told him, her bastard of a family sealed and kicked her out and emotionally abused her. Not only that, it looked like she was beaten. I don't want to see that again. If anything happens to her, I don't care. Who it is, I will destroy them, Naruto said, getting angrier and angrier. The Hokage wanted to storm the Hyuga compound and demand he remove the seal when he saw Hinata didn't have one. Naruto, how come Hinata doesn't have the seal? He asked. Because I removed it with the power of the Uzugen, Naruto said, activating his Uzugen for emphasis. A powerful dujutsu indeed, Sarutobi thought, but just nodded before asking, well, I will see what I can do about the money, and Hinata, I will let you train with Naruto, if that is okay with you? He asked, and Hinata immediately nodded. Yes, I would like that, Hokage-sama, she replied without a doubt before hugging Naruto. The Hokage raised an eyebrow and the man with the cool hair giggled perversely. Finally noticing the man, Naruto walked over to him. Inu. Is that you? He asked while the man nodded. Naruto ran to the man and hugged him quickly before letting go. Thank you for helping, he said, turning to the Hokage while Kakashi's eyes smiled. Minato-sensei, I will make you proud. Gigi, I was hoping that we could go shopping for supplies and food and some stuff for Hinata, Naruto asked before pulling out a couple 100,000 ryo. This should help, right? I've been saving up. The Hokage nodded. That will be more than enough, he said as they all left to get the supplies and introduce them to their new home. Naruto and Hinata were walking hand in hand as they went from store to store to buy the ninja supplies. First they ended up getting chakra paper, fuinjutsu supplies, over 1,000 kunai and 1,000 shuriken and about 2,000 senbons. Since the Hokage was helping, he applied the discount and it took only a fraction of what it would cost. They then proceeded to the cloth store as Naruto was looking around the aisle. They had decided to shop for each other, so Hinata had told him her size and tried not to faint, and he told her his and chose what they felt like the other liked. When they were done, Naruto had a pair of black combat boots with dark orange laces along with a black skin-tight muscle shirt and a couple other black shirts with an orange stripe going down the front with the Uzumaki symbol on the left shoulder. She also found him some black shinobi pants and dark orange arm and leg wraps and told him that when he's not wearing the outfit from Alex that he could wear these. For Hinata, he got her a couple pairs of black pants and lavender shirts along with a purple cloth so she can tie it to her head to hide the fact she no longer had the caged bird seal. He also bought her a nice sundress. When they were done, they both were happy with what the other chose. Namikaze Estate. Arriving at the Namikaze Estate, Naruto and the others were impressed. This place is huge, Naruto said, giddy to explore. It was big house. It had 6 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms upstairs with a large living room and kitchen along with a study full of jutsu. Naruto was literally jumping up and down in excitement at learning all the new scrolls. Hinata noticed Naruto had disappeared and found him in the nursery crying gently. "Naru?" Hinata asked gently. When she reached out a hand to him, he latched onto her and wrapped his tail around her, crying. "They really wanted me to love me?" he asked with tears in his eyes. "I am sorry, Kit." He heard her and shook his head. "It's okay, I know they loved me and that you didn't mean it," he told Kurama, and then he heard a familiar voice outside. "Naruto. I will prepare to take you and Hinata later. For now I will talk to the Hokage and that man. Kakashi, right? Well, I shall return, and I am sorry for your loss," Alex said, walking away. As he was crying, Hinata rubbed his whisker marks, earning a low grumble. "So his ears and whiskers are sensitive, him," she thought to herself before rubbing his whiskers, making him grumble and tail wave side to side. By the time she stopped, she could tell he was in a better mood, kissing him lightly with all her courage as this was all new to her. "Naru-kun, I am sorry about your parents. I think if you want to make them proud, you should train extra hard so you live up to their memory," she said while cupping his face so he could look at her. Naruto was shocked and staring at Hinata as she told him he should train harder to honor his parents. Without thinking, he glomped her in a bear hug. "Hinata. Thank you," he said with a new determination to get stronger. "I will get stronger, not just for your memories but to protect my own. And to protect Hinata," he thought as he went to meet his sensei. Naruto and Hinata walked in the living room to see Alex and Kakashi. "Alright, we are ready," Naruto said, and Alex nodded. "Hold still, I have never done this before," he said, grabbing their shoulders and glowing before disappearing in a large flash. When they materialized, they were in a large room of what looked like a palace and had intricate designs in the walls. "Alright, from now on we shall train you till you drop. Sleep and then repeat. You will get to have a break 1 hour a day and only eat breakfast, lunch and dinner in between," he said, smiling wickedly, and the two teens shuddered. After a bad day of training, Hinata and Naruto laid in their new bed and were cuddled up to each other. "Hinata, I love you. At least I think this is love. Thank you for being there for me," he said, hugging her close to him. "And I love you too. Thank you for being here for me," she said as she kissed him lightly before going to sleep. "I am going to do a time skip summary of 2-year training because it will take too long to write out 2 years, hee. Naruto and Hinata stayed in the realm for almost the whole 2 years. When they first started, the first 2 weeks sucked. They literally had to crawl to the bed after training, and Naruto focused on his godlike abilities and Hinata trained her Byakugan. Naruto and his shadow clone army devoured everything. Coupled with the Uzugen, he learned everything in a fraction of the time. Hinata could only make 2 shadow clones at first, but it still helped. They learned everything they could, starting from the basics to cage level exercises. Since Naruto could use every elemental affinity, he started from the leaf to using kunai to channel his element. They could now accurately use shuriken, kunai, and senbon. They enjoyed the senbon more because they could hit pressure points and vitals, either killing, paralyzing or seriously hurting the enemy. While Naruto was learning the Rasengan and Flying Thunder and Fuinjutsu, Hinata learned to make poisons, antidotes and salves. She also learned basic medical jutsu from books. Naruto trained with the fox's chakra, which came easily. As he progressed, he could use all of it. By the end of the training, he could effectively use all 9 tails and enter stage 2 and 3-tailed beast modes, not to mention sage mode. As he progressed with the chakra, he grew tails to the amount of power. In the end, he ended up growing 9 tails and laughed because now if people found out, all hell would break loose and his chakra turned a gold color permanently. Alex couldn't be prouder at the rate they grew. At the end of the first year, Naruto was a seal master and cage level in everything, and in Kenjutsu and Fuinjutsu he truly lived up to the Uzumaki name. Once Naruto and Hinata made her own form of the gentle fist called Flowing Fist because of her affinity in water, where she flowed around the opponent's attacks and counter-attacked, or used Striking Fist with lightning, where she hit the target quick as lightning and blocked as fast. She was flexible but strong, making her look like she was dancing around the enemy but felt like being hit by a brick. Both had some of the highest number of gravity seals on them and kept rising as they trained to the ground, literally. The second year, Naruto and Hinata trained in making their own jutsu and combining elements. For Naruto it came like second nature, to where he could effectively mix jutsu like Infernal Whirlwind, which was a mix of a fire jutsu and wind, making an infernal tornado. Naruto focused on gravity and lightning, fire and wind jutsu, along with his light, dark release, making his own jutsus, and Hinata worked with lighting, water and wind. Alex even ended up calling them the storm couple, with Naruto being a storm of lightning, fire, wind, dark, light and gravity elements. He came up with his own sub-element called the infernal windstorm release, living up to his half-god status. And Hinata, who had sickly storm release, to where she mixed poison jutsu with her storm release, making it twice as lethal. At the end of the second year, Alex smiled at how well they have come along, and when he returned them, Kakashi made it a point to never piss them off, as they could probably take the Hokage on when they have more experience. The last day, Alex gave Naruto in complete Raijin outfit and fusion sword, saying that he now could be considered a god among men. And since he was a god and had to stay in his realm, he gave Naruto a lighting fox summon, saying it was able to help in battle or be a companion or even both, and could communicate with him for Naruto to keep in touch. Naruto was overjoyed he could keep in touch and hugged Alex the lightning god before asking if he would keep an eye on him or visit sometimes. Alex laughed and said he would, and even told Naruto how to come there or summon him. Hokage Tower. Naruto and Hinata were sitting on a couch in the Hokage's office while Kakashi and Alex stood in front of the Hokage. While Kakashi was giving his report, Naruto was talking with Hinata. "Hey Hinata, you ready to show the rest of the world a couple of worthless people can do?" Naruto said with a fox smile. "Of course Naru-kun. I can't wait," she said happily while Naruto hugged her close. "You know, foxes are very possessive and protective. I won't let anything happen to you," he said, wrapping his tail around her and grumbling as she rubbed his whisker marks gently. Meanwhile, Kakashi and the Hokage were trying to evaluate their progress. "So they're inexperienced, but they are probably cage level for their age. I mean, I made Jonin at 13, but man, these kids sucked up everything I had. I am kinda at their level. One don't think this year a show of taijutsu should be used at the academy for safety reasons," Kakashi said as he watched them with an eye smile. "So from what the reporter says, we have ourselves a couple of prodigies. Naruto-kun, I want you two to go to the academy and make some noise. Damn council will be on my ass, but who cares, right?" the Hokage said carefree, making the three present sweat drop. Hokage Gigi, I was wondering if we could be on the same team along with Shikamaru. And I would like to make Anko our Jonin sensei. I mean, that's a good heavy assault. You got me an expert in about everything. Hinata-chan on taijutsu and ninjutsu, and Shikamaru's a good ranged fighter along with the crazy snake lady. You got a kick-ass team. Don't worry Kakashi, we can still train, but I think you will need to help Sasuke Teme more, and I would rather catch Tora than be on the same team with the brooder, Naruto told the Hokage, making him and Kakashi chuckle. "Sure Naruto-kun, just let me do the dreaded paperwork," he said, sighing at the thought of paperwork. "Hey Gigi, why not just use the shadow clones? They retain the knowledge, right? I thought about using them for when I take that hat of yours. But that changed a while ago," Naruto said, making their jaws drop. "But Naru-kun, that is your dream," Hinata said, shocked at what he just said. Naruto shook his head. "It was my dream to get recognized, but now I realized I don't need anyone's recognition but those who care. And I thought long and hard about this, but if I become Hokage, then I can't spend a lot of time with you. And I also thought about my reason to become Hokage was stupid. I can become the strongest ninja and protect my friends even if I am not Hokage," Naruto declared, and the three stood there before smiling. "That is very noble of you Naruto-kun," Kakashi said with a smile. When they were dismissed, Naruto flashed him and Hinata back to their new house, the Namikaze compound. "Hey Hina-chan, I am going to go out for a bit," Naruto said as he walked out the door. He's been acting weird lately, especially the whole Hokage part. I wonder what's wrong," she thought, shrugging it off as she went to train a bit. As night began to fall, Naruto came home just in time for dinner. They ate in silence. They went to sleep together as usual, but Naruto barely spoke. The next morning, Naruto was dressing in his room while Hinata was in the bathroom. He was wearing black ninja pants with dark orange wrappings at the bottom and stopped before his boots. He had a skin-tight muscle shirt on. Even though he wasn't bulky for a 12-year-old, he was well built, and you could tell he would be just as good looking as he was strong when he is older. He wore his deity kimono, and he had a dark orange cloth tied to his forehead with the ends at his shoulder blades with his mask on. It was a gift from Hinata for his 14th birthday. For picture, look at cover and image him wearing MK outfit. I got to make this right, he thought as he went to the kitchen to make some breakfast for them while he waited for Hinata to get finished. He had just prepared the plates with eggs and sausage and some vegetables when Hinata came out wearing just a lavender shirt and black pants with boots and a lavender headband. Damn. She's so, what's the word? Hot. Naruto couldn't help but stare at her developing figure as he thought how beautiful she was. He then realized the other males would think the same thing, making him growl a little. He walked over to her and wrapped his arms around her, putting his arms around her and his nose in the crook of her neck. Hinaheim. Can you come sit with me on the couch? He asked after a while of silence with a soft but pleading tone. Hearing his tone, she nodded slowly, thinking, oh God. Is he going to break up with me? Is that why he's acting so weird? She thought as she sat down next to him. Hinata-chan, I am not good with this stuff, so bear with me. I love you and I can't see myself without you ever. You are my most precious person. You're my light in the dark. Will you marry me? When we turn 16 inches, he said as he shakily pulled out a ring that looked like a gold fox with its head and tail meeting at the end, and the fox's eyes were small little diamonds. Hinata stared wide-eyed as he was talking. Oh God. Naru-kun. She thought as she was shaking and crying. Oh, of course Naru-kun, I will, she said, tackling him down and crashing her lips to his. As she kissed him, Naruto knew it was the right choice. They stayed there kissing for a while, and when they finally broke apart, Naruto looked into her eyes. Hina-chan. That ring is connected with my flying thunder god technique on it, so I will always be there. You know, we never went on a real date, but I was wondering if you would like to go to Ichiraku's ramen with me after the academy, he said before placing the ring on her finger. Not trusting her voice, she nodded as thoughts flew through her head. Oh. Naruto. I wasn't expecting this. I love you. We'll be happy, have a house, and then later. Hey kids, the thought made her redder than she has ever been. As they finally finished breakfast, Hinata spoke. Naru-kun. Thank you. For being here for me and loving me, she said, the happiest she has ever been. Naruto nodded. I will always be there for you. Believe it, he said, striking his good guy pose, making Hinata giggle. Oh, I believe it. Come on, let's go, she said, giving him a quick kiss as they walked out the door. Naruto and Hinata walked towards the academy with their fingers entwined. As were walking, the villagers looked at the couple with disgust and hate. Luckily Naruto kept his tails hidden, otherwise they may have been in real trouble. Academy graduation day. When they arrived at the academy and walked in, everyone looked at Naruto and Hinata and immediately they became silent. The class noticed the two walk in and watched as they walked to the back of the class and sat down without a word. The first to speak or screech if you will was Sakura. Don't act so cool, Naruto baka, you will never be as cool as my Sasuke-kun. That whole quiet thing is for Sasuke-kun, not a baka. While inside Naruto's head he heard, shove a Rasengan up that bitch's ass, Kurama said. Maybe, but not right now, Naruto replied, ignoring the banshee to focus on the next problem. Kiba. Kiba walked up to Hinata and almost demanded, Hinata, where have you been for the last 2 years? Why do you have this street urchin scent on you? You shouldn't hang out with trash. You should choose me. I am an alpha, he said in a superior tone. It's none of your business where I was, Kiba, and don't refer to Naru-kun like that, she said in an annoyed tone, not wanting him to hit on her, and because he just made fun of her. Naru-kun. People just stared at Hinata, shocked. She just used an affectionate name towards Naruto and didn't stutter. Naruto, however, was making a low growl sound and his eyes flashed a bit of a gold color. But before they could question them more, Iruka-sensei came in. Sit down and pay attention, class. Today is the day you all become genin, he said happily. After they went over everything they would do, Iruka handed out the tests. Naruto noticed a genjutsu on his test and a sickening smile on Mizuki and silently dispelled it with the only thought, fool. After grading all the tests, they went outside to start on kunai and shuriken throwing. When Naruto and Hinata came up, Sakura screeched. There's no way you will ever beat Sasuke-kun. Naruto baka, you should just give up, stupid orphan. Naruto just ignored her while Hinata was about to rip the banshee's throat out as Naruto gracefully and expertly threw all his weapons at once, hitting all targets in dead center, making the whole class shut up just to turn to Hinata, who like Naruto shut the class up with a perfect score as Iruka and his jaw on the floor but got out of his stupor to announce. Now on to the jutsu portion. What happened to them? Inside the classroom they had the jutsu portion. Alright, can I have Naruto to my left and Hinata to my right? Iruka asked as they headed to the front of the class. HN Iruka-sensei. Why are not we having sparring? Sasuke asked, and Iruka pulled out a letter, reading it out loud. Iruka-san, I the Hokage send this letter in regards to the test. Sparring will be skipped this year as to prevent deaths. he said out loud. But Iruka-sensei, none of us can kill anyone in taijutsu? Ino asked, and he nodded. This was in regards to 2 students, and that is all I can reveal, he said, turning his attention to Naruto and Hinata. Alright, I want you to do the henge, the clone and the replacement jutsu, and you have the option to use 1 extra jutsu for extra credit, Iruka told them. Naruto and Hinata turned into a normal-sized fox and bunny, making Iruka look like he was a fish. All the other students asked what was wrong, so Iruka told the class. The henge is just a basic illusion, but what they did was the true henge. It changes you completely, mass, shape, and density. It's a cage-level jutsu. Iruka explained to the class, making them yell that Naruto cheated, but he just ignored them as he turned back to Naruto and Hinata. Okay, please continue to the replacement jutsu, he asked, and they both replaced with each other, and he nodded. Alright, a Jonin-level replacement. Good. Last but not least, clone jutsu, he said with a smile. I hope Naruto can pass, he thought, as Naruto and Hinata made the hand signs and called out shadow clone jutsu, and a single clone appeared. TT, that's a shadow clone, Iruka said, shocked. The 2 genin knew how to use them and explained again about the jutsu to the class. He was about to say they passed when Naruto held up a hand. Hold on, Iruka-sensei, me and Hinaheim wish to try for extra credit, he said as Iruka nodded for them to continue. Naruto and Hinata held up their hand, and in it was a perfect Rasengan, and Iruka almost fainted. How the hell can you do that? He yelled, almost tempted to use his big head jutsu. Well, I learned it from a sensei and practiced, of course, Naruto gave him a smart-ass reply. They both smiled as Iruka announced, very good job, you both passed. I am proud and amazed, he said, much to the grief to the fangirls. They both walked up and picked a cloth-less forehead protector to mount it on their own cloths as Naruto heard, good job, kid, making him smile. Hinata turned to Naruto. Naruto, we did it, we're genin, she said happily before kissing him. The whole class just stopped and stared wide-eyed at the 2 as they walked to their desk like nothing happened. Iruka, seeing the class was going to derail, intervened. Alright, starting from bottom to top, ranking is: girls, 3rd place Ino, 2nd place Sakura, 1st place Hinata. Boys, 6th place Choji, 5th place Shino, 4th place Kiba, 3rd place Shikamaru, 2nd place Sasuke, 1 RST place Naruto, he announced, and the whole class yelled at him how Naruto and Hinata got Rookie of the Year. Quite down. Not only did they ace the exam, they also aced the weapons and jutsu, including doing all Jonin and 1 cage-level jutsu, Iruka announced, making them all yell, what, again? Luckily the bell went off announcing that it was the end of the day, so everyone ran out to meet their parents except Naruto and Hinata, who walked hand in hand to the Ichiraku's ramen stand for their date. Iruka saw the whole thing, smiling. Looks like our Naruto has grown up, he thought before seeing a sickening smile on Mizuki's face as he ran off towards the Hokage Tower. Hey old man, Ayame Ne-chan, Naruto called out to Tuchi, and Ayame rushed over to Naruto and hugged him before smacking him on the head. Thank goodness, where have you been, Naruto-kun? She asked, worried about the young blonde. Sorry, me and Hina-chan have been training, so he couldn't come here. Sorry? Naruto said as Hinata had grabbed Naruto from the other woman and rubbed his head gently and kissed his forehead, making him smile. Ayame smiled seeing the girl with Naruto. And who are you? Could you be his girlfriend? Ayame asked with a wink. Hinata shook her head. Nope, I am his fiancé, she said, showing her the ring. Tuchi dropped a plate and Ayame stared wide-eyed at the girl. You know that means you're going to marry him, right? Ayame asked, not sure if she heard right. Yes, we know, but I love her and we're waiting till we are 16. But I love her and I have spent the last 2 years alone with her, so we know a lot about each other, Naruto replied in return. Ayame nodded sagely and squealed before sitting them down at the counter. Why not tell me how this all started? She said with a smile as they all talked for what seemed like hours. In the streets near the woods, Naruto was walking through town with Hinata hand in hand, enjoying their time together, when Naruto felt a chakra signature in the woods. Strange, he thought before turning to Hinata. Hey Hinata, something's wrong, come on, he said as they took off in the direction of the chakra spike. When they arrived, Naruto and Hinata found Mizuki about to kill Iruka and took off running towards them to help Iruka. Hinata, help Iruka, I will take care of Mizuki, he said as he went straight towards the traitor. Hinata grabbed Iruka and started to heal him, but when Mizuki was about to attack them, Naruto called out, "Hey jackass, you're mine," he said before disappearing in a show of speed, and yelled Big Rasengan before plunging it into him. With more than enough force to kill him instantly. He knew he just had his first kill of many to come, but that wasn't as important right now. Naruto noticed that Mizuki had the scroll of sealing, so he retrieved it, sealing Mizuki's body in another, and opened the sacred scroll, quickly scanning jutsus with the Uzugen, exploding shadow clone, lightning blade barrage, wood spikes, foxfire, raging wind blades, and Edo Tensai. Yeah, that can work, Naruto thought before closing the scroll. He found a general seal that said, blood. He read the seal and was surprised it held the blood of everyone from the village to keep exact records. Naruto thought of the blood he wanted and 4 vials popped out. With a smile, Naruto put the vials in one of his best security seals on his shoulder and ran to see Hinata trying to get Iruka to stand up. Naruto, Naru-kun. The both said, happy to see the blonde alive. Yeah, it's me. The Hokage probably wants to see us, Naruto said as he grabbed Hinata and Iruka. Before Iruka could ask what he's doing, they were in the Hokage's office in a flash, surprising him. The Hokage was pleased to see Naruto and Hinata were alright with Iruka after watching them with his crystal ball. Ah, Naruto, how nice to see you. I take it you took care of Mizuki, he asked. Naruto just nodded before handing over the scroll of sealing and the one he put Mizuki's body in. Yeah. Here is his body, Naruto said in pain. The Hokage saw this and bent down to Naruto's level. Naruto, I know you're troubled, but we ninja must kill to protect. Say you let him live, he could just do more harm, kill more, steal more, and even rape. We must fight to protect what we care about. The shinobi world is full of death and killing, but never like it that makes you a monster, but the fact you feel regret makes you even more human. Naruto, if Hinata was going to be killed, what would you do? The Hokage asked wisely. I would protect her before anything bad happened. He answered honestly. Yes, and that is why we fight to protect. So you okay? The Hokage asked. Yeah, I think so. I may not like killing, but I know it is necessary, and to protect my loved ones I will just have to face it, Naruto replied wisely as well. The Hokage dismissed them after a small talk. Iruka was walking with them when he decided to ask, Hey Naruto. How have you been? I haven't seen you in 2 years. Is everything okay? He asked, a little sad that Naruto, whom he considered his little brother, hadn't talked to him in a while. Oh, sorry about that, Iruka. I have been training for the last 2 years and haven't left my house. Hey, we haven't talked in a long time, how about we get dinner together? Naruto suggested, and they all nodded, heading towards Ichiraku's ramen. So Naruto and Hinata, not to be nosy, but by any chance are you together? Iruka asked. Yup, been together for 2 years, Naruto said proudly. Well, I am glad. I always knew you two would end up happy, so where have you been during these 2 years, Hinata? Iruka asked. Well, mostly living and training with Naruto-kun, she said in between a bite of miso ramen, making Iruka choke on his while Naruto patted his back. What about your father? Iruka asked and saw a sad expression on her face, so Naruto ended up telling him. When Naruto finished, Iruka nodded sagely. I'm sorry to hear that, Hinata. But on the bright side you have Naruto, and what's more is if you need anything just ask me. I may not be able to help a lot, but I do what I can, he said, earning a quick hug from Hinata and a smile from Naruto as they parted ways. Namikaze Estate. When they reached the Namikaze Estate they were worn and tired, but Naruto needed to do something. Hey Hinata-chan, follow me, Naruto said as they went to the training ground. Oh no, not training, Hinata thought. Can we wait till tomorrow to train Naru-kun? I am exhausted, she asked, hugging him as he wrapped his tail around her, smiling. Oh, this is not training, just watch and see my little bunny, he said, kissing her before setting the vials of blood on the ground. Going through the Edo Tensai hand signs but adding a few, he called out Uzu undeniable rebirth, making the blood burst out the vials in a round ball as four bodies appeared out of the earth and the blood went in them before chakra spheres appeared before the bodies and plunged into them. When it was over, Hinata gasped as Naruto smiled and said, Welcome back. Hinata gasped and her eyes started to tear up. Standing in front of her was none other than Kushina, Minato, Hana Hyuga, Hinata's mother, and Hisashi Hyuga, the man she blamed herself for his death. Hinata looked at Naruto, to which he nodded, and just like that she tackled her mother, crying. Minato and the others were confused. 1 second they were in the afterlife and the next they're standing in front of what looks like a carbon copy of Minato and Hana. Welcome back, the boy said as the girl tackled Hana crying. Minato and Kushina turned to Naruto. Are you in Naruto? Kushina asked with tears. Naruto nodded and said, yes. Mother, father, he said, finally breaking down and hugging his own parents. You want to come out and help explain, he asked Kurama. Of course I want to come out so I can help explain and say hi to my friends, he said in mock sarcasm before materializing behind him. After some shared tears they all went inside. When they reached the inside there was a flash and a fox appeared. Hello Naruto-sama, my name is Ryu, I am your familiar fox from Lord Raijin, he said, and Naruto picked him up. Ah, you're so cute and fluffy, you must be a lady killer. I can't wait till we beat some enemies together, Naruto said, making Ryu blush a little and yip happily. Hinata had already bought the supplies for him and he went and crawled in a dog bed in the living room. Naruto sat with Hinata leaning on him as the adults smiled at the young love. No offense, but how and why did you bring us back? I mean, I am glad, but can you please explain? Hisashi asked, curious as how a boy brought him back from the dead no less. Okay, but first we have to tell you what's going on, Naruto said as he looked at Hinata and Kurama. The three of them told the newly brought back family all about the events of the Nine Tails and what their life was like, which they all got pissed at that, and Hana and Hisashi actually broke the table and started to curse Hiashi until they calmed down. Then he continued on to how the village treated them and Naruto, and this time Minato and Kushina got mad, and then they told them about how the last 2 years has been. And that's what's up. Now for how and why. I used a jutsu similar to the Edo Tensei, but it gave you your life back. Basically you were reborn as if you never died before. And why? Well, I am being a little selfish because we want our parents and lives back and we think you will be able to help us, Naruto said, wrapping his tail around Hinata, who hugged it giggling as it brushes her nose, making Hana and Kushina aawwww at them. So Naruto, is Hinata your girlfriend? Minato asked. Naruto shook his head. Nope, she's the most beautiful girl I know and love. She's my fiancé, Naruto said, making Minato and Hisashi choke on their glass of water, and Kushina and Hana squeal before trying to take Hinata away to talk about how it happened, but Naruto used his other 8 tails to shield Hinata. You're not taking her away, leave her alone, Naruto said, hugging Hinata closely. Oh fine, be that way. What's so great about her? Kushina said in a sarcastic tone. Everything, her smile, her laugh, everything. I love her. To me she's better than ramen. I could go without ramen but not without her. Ramen may be the food of gods, but it can't make me happy or make the pain go away or even fill my heart with love. To me she's the most important thing in my life, Naruto replied with a soft tone, looking into the eyes of Hinata while Kushina and Minato gasped. He said she was better than ramen. Is that true? Do you mean that Naru-kun? Hinata asked, tears in her eyes, every word. Mph, Naruto was saying until Hinata tackled him and smashed her lips to his, taking him by surprise. Naruto noticed the others starting to stare and put his tails up, wanting to try something new. Naruto licked her bottom lip. Hinata was surprised when he licked her bottom lip but opened her mouth. They both felt a jolt when they started exploring each other's mouth and were tempted to keep going until they heard someone clear their throat next to them. Cough. We all should probably all go to bed now, so we can wake up early and give the old man a heart attack. Minato chuckled as he and Kushina went to their old room. Hana went to a small room by herself, as did Hisashi. Naruto and Hinata were in their room and Naruto pulled her to him. I love you, he said as he kissed her passionately, leaving her out of breath. And you, she said before they went to sleep in each other's arms with content smiles. Naruto woke up around 6 and looked down to see his angel. Naruto just stroked Hinata's hair with his hand, thinking, I want to get her a gift like a hairpin. As Naruto was thinking, Hinata woke to someone stroking her hair. Naru-kun. I am hungry, she said sleepily. Realizing this was a perfect chance, he told her, alright, be back in a flash, he replied, getting up and flashed to town. Naruto knew a couple people who saw him for him and would sell him stuff, but since he didn't want to ruin their business, he came early in the morning. Naruto went to a jewelry store and walked in. Hello? He asked out loud. Be with you in a minute. The owner, a lovely old lady by the name of Becca, came out the back to see Naruto standing there. Oh, it's you, the one who bought the ring the other day. A bit young if you ask me, but how did it go? She asked sweetly. It went great, she accepted, and now we're engaged. I was wondering if you had any hairpins. I was hoping for something like a lotus or small flower design with purple or lavender gems. He asked the old lady, making her smile. Must be one lucky lady to have you come here this early and know just what to get her. Ah yes, I just got just the thing that came in yesterday actually, Becca said before pulling out a decent-sized box. She opened it and pulled out what looked like a lavender flower but made of jade with purple amethyst flowers and a clip on the back. Oh, wow. That's perfect. How much is it? He asked happily. The old woman just smiled. For you it's free of charge. No arguments, just think of it as an engagement gift, she said when she saw he was about to press there be a price. Naruto took the gift and bowed. Thank you so much. I will remember this, he said as he walked out to go to the bakery. Hello? Naruto called out. Be with you in a second, the owner, a tall man with a bakery outfit by the name Brad, said. As Naruto was waiting, he heard a loud crash and ran to the back to see if the baker was alright. Hey Brad-san, are you okay? Naruto asked, walking in, noticing a small box fell down. Yeah, just some utensils fell down. Say, you mind helping me carry these boxes? The owner asked. Naruto nodded and picked up a couple boxes and helped carry them. When they were done, the owner handed Naruto a box. Here's cinnamon buns, right? Thanks for your help, the owner said to Naruto. Once he got the fresh cinnamon buns and some groceries, he flashed back to the house where he knew Hinata was probably sleeping. Hinata was still in bed when the smell of cinnamon and breakfast wafted through the air, waking her up instantly. She ran out the room, bumping into the others who seemed to have been woken up as well, and tackled Naruto. Cinnamon buns. Where? She demanded as Naruto chuckled. In the kitchen on the table with your breakfast, Naruto said with a fox grin as she ran to the kitchen. Naruto looked to the others. She puts the Uzumaki's obsession of ramen to shame with cinnamon buns. I only got a dozen, so if you want any better go fight for them now, Naruto said, chuckling at the look on their faces. Naruto walked into their room and found his jacket and put the hairpin wrapped in his headband before going back to the kitchen. Hey Hinata, I can't find my jacket and I left my headband in it, can you please find it and bring me my headband? Naruto asked softly as she nodded and finished the last cinnamon roll, much to the others' dismay. Naruto was talking to his father until they all heard a happy scream from Hinata. Don't worry about that. I guess she likes it, Naruto said, smiling as Hinata came out of the room dressed in a loose purple shirt with black pants and her shinobi shoes, and the most noticeable, a large lavender flower gem in her hair. All the adult turned to Naruto, who grinned from ear to ear as Hinata walked towards him and gave him a peck on the lips. Thank you, Naruto. I love it, she said as she walked over to Kushina and Hana to spend some girl time with them. Damn Naruto. How did you know she would like it? Minato said, chuckling as he pat his son's shoulder. Oh please, I know just what she likes and doesn't. That reminds me, no shellfish, only salmon in this house please, Naruto said to his father. Alright, but now we got to go to the Hokage and change your name to Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze, okay? His father said as he jumped up and down in excitement. Oh, by the way Naruto, I am impressed you could remove the caged bird seal. My son, he still has his, and from what Hinata said, he's an ass, so I am counting on you to help me, Hisashi said, and Naruto nodded. Hokage Tower. The Hokage was having a stressful day. First he fought the council about Naruto being a shinobi, now he was buried with paperwork. He had just finished his paperwork and was relaxing in his chair when there was a yellow flash. What could Naruto want? He thought as he opened his eyes to gasp. Not only were Naruto and Hinata there, but Minato, Kushina, Hana, and Hisashi were there as well. Wah! How? Is it really you? Sarutobi asked. To no one in general. Minato was the first to speak. Yes, we are back. But we are not happy. But before we go on, Minato said as he threw a kunai through the bookshelf and into a root nin's head. The old Hokage could barely believe his ears that Naruto brought them back. When they were done with the story, Minato spoke up again. I would like my old job back so I can straighten the council out as well as the teams, he said in his Hokage voice. The third nodded. Of course, I am getting too old for this job anyways. I will gather everyone before the tower, he said before summoning his Anbu by flaring his chakra, while Minato and the rest hid as to not start freaking people out. Well, so good so far, Hisashi said as the rest nodded. The third Hokage was outside on the balcony overlooking the village when all the villagers came to see why they were called there with the other shinobi. Villagers of the Leaves, I would like to say that I am stepping down as Hokage and already have one in place and shall be Hokage effective immediately. The Hokage was going to say more, but the crowd erupted in protests. Finally having enough, he shouted, "Quite, you all will accept and like your Hokage. Come on out," he shouted as the crowd died down as Minato stepped out. The wild town was silent as they were trying to comprehend how the fourth Hokage was alive. "I bet all of you are wondering how I am alive. Well, you can thank my son, and I am very disappointed at how you have treated him," Minato said as the crowd started shouting things like, "Son, when did you have a son?" Or, "We would never. We would have protected him," another said as they were yelling, "Quiet. Come here, son," Minato said to the doorway. Everyone got sick as they saw Naruto walk up to the Hokage. "Get that demon child out of here. What is this, some kind of joke? Lord Fourth, finish what you started." They all began shouting as Naruto hung his head. "I knew it was too good to be true. They will always hate me," Naruto thought before flashing away. And the crowd grew pale, and this angered Minato greatly as he started yelling at the crowd. With Hinata. Hinata saw Naruto flash away and knew where he would be, so she ran to him. When she reached the top of the Hokage mountain, she saw Naruto on his father's head crying gently as he hung his head. She sat down next to him before he hugged her and cried. She just sat there and let him let it all out. When he started to calm down, she kissed him and rubbed his cheeks before saying, "It's not your fault, Naruto-kun. They're just idiots, don't let what they say bother you. You have the third, Minato-san, Kushina-chan, my mom, Hisashi, and everyone else. But most of all you have me," she said in a soothing voice, and Naruto buried his face in her neck. "Do you remember when you took me to your apartment and said you would be there for me? Well, now I am here for you," she said before lifting his chin and kissing him. What happened to a simple kiss turned into a full-blown makeout as Naruto was exploring her mouth, making a low growling sound as it sent vibrations through her. She moaned a little bit before Naruto picked her up, suddenly earning an "eep" from Hinata as he flashed back to the estate. "I want to sleep. I feel exhausted. Please, stay with me," Naruto asked softly as she nodded, and they curled up together till they fell asleep. Hokage Tower. Minato had just taken care of the crowd and called a council meeting. When the council arrived, they found Minato, Kushina, Hana, and Hisashi waiting for them. Hisashi saw his brother and wife and was about to say something when Hana slapped him. "Don't talk to me. Not after what you did to our daughter," she said with her voice cracking at him before storming off with Hisashi. Never before had anyone before seen her angry, not even Hisashi. She was always calm and happy. Hisashi just stood there and let his mask break as he cried at what truly felt like heartbreak. "Let's get this meeting over with," Minato was saying before the door burst open and the civilian council came in. "Oh, what do we have here?" Minato asked the civilians. "We're here for the meeting. It seems the Anbu forgot to tell us." "You should punish him," Homura said in an ignorant tone. "Actually no, they didn't, because you were all relieved of duty last I checked. All of you, including you, Danzo," Minato said in his authoritative voice as Danzo was about to speak. The council made noise, but Minato shut them up and had the meeting as planned. Meanwhile, Hyuga compound. Naruto, who was feeling better along with Hinata, Hana, and Hisashi, walked up to the compound to get their belongings and their children. Naruto went with Hinata to her room to find a little girl who looked like Hinata but with black long hair and smaller. "Hanabi," Hinata exclaimed, running towards her sister and engulfing her in a hug. "Sister, what are you doing here? What if father catches you?" Hanabi asked, worried for her sister. "Don't worry about that, we came to get you and some of our belongings along with Neji-ne-san," Hinata said as she let go and started to pack. "So this is Hanabi. Hinata's told me a lot about you," Naruto said as he helped Hinata pack. Hanabi stared at Naruto as if trying to figure who he was. "Who are you, and why are you here?" Hanabi asked, getting into a fighting stance. "Whoa, Hinata, your sister's name sure fits, huh?" Naruto said to Hinata, making her giggle as she closed her bag. "Yeah, that's Hanabi," she said to Naruto before turning to Hanabi. "Would you like to go see our mother?" Hinata asks her sister. "Our really, you mean our real mother?" Hanabi asked, and Hinata nodded. "Yup, but for now let's go pack some of your things," Hinata said, going with Hanabi to her room. While Naruto stayed guard at the door. When they opened the door, Naruto looked to see Hinata and Hanabi smiling. "Oh yeah, Hanabi, me and Hinata wanted to give you something," Naruto said, holding out a sealing scroll. When Hanabi opened it, it had a large teddy bear and a set of kunai. "We wanted to get you something nice and something fun," Hinata said with a smile as they were going to the front gates to be met up with Hisashi and Hana with Neji. But Neji was over Hisashi's shoulder. "Hinata, you were right, my son's an ass," he said as they all walked back to the Namikaze estate. When they arrived, Naruto removed Neji's seal first thing before going into the living room to see Hana, Hanabi, and Hinata talking and crying, so he decided to make them some tea. He was in the kitchen making tea when his father appeared next to him with a flash. "Hey son. I am sorry, I had hoped better from the villagers," he said, bit sad. Before he could go any further, Naruto cut him off. "Nah, it's fine, I am over it. Hinata helped me realize what truly matters is the opinion of those who care about you," Naruto said as he poured the tea into cups and carried them to the girls. "Here, I made you girls some tea," he said, handing them a cup. Hinata took a sip and smiled. "Naru-kun, can you show Hanabi-chan your tails? She won't believe me," she asked with the cursed puppy eyes. Sigh. "Fine, but only you are allowed to touch them, Hina-chan, they're yours and yours only," Naruto said, kissing her, making her blush. While Hanabi watched as Naruto made his ears and tail visible and wrapped one around Hinata, pulling her closer. "Oh wow, you really do have tails and ears. Cool," Hanabi said with stars in her eyes. For the rest of the night it was a family night. When Neji woke up, at first he was concerned, and then he found out he was unsealed. "Naruto, thank you very much for helping me, and thank you Hinata for never giving up," he said, bowing to them. "I won't accept your apologies. Unless you don't stop being so uptight. And you can't stop me and Hinata from showing our love," Naruto said, waggling his eyebrows, making Hinata blush. They decided to spend time together and train until the selection day, and after a while, to get used to each other, they all started acting like a family. It's now the day of team selections. Naruto stirred from his sleep, waking up Hinata with him. "Morning, Naru-kun," Hinata said, kissing him. "Morning. Have I told you that I love you?" Naruto said, making Hinata giggle. Every day," she said, kissing him again. They sat there holding each other for a while before they both got up. Naruto took a shower and got changed into his usual setup, but had a necklace Hinata gave him in the shape of a fox paw hanging around his neck. Hinata dressed in a lavender, white shirt with shinobi pants that fit snugly on her body, with shinobi shoes and her hairpin and ring on. She used chakra to make sure they would stay on in battle. Naruto just stared at her before he gave her a kiss, which turned into him growling a little before suddenly walking into the bathroom, thinking, "Man, why do I feel like this? And keep checking Hinata out," Naruto thought. "Because you're going through puberty and will start to want to mate. Naruto, when you're a Hanyou, you will want to mark her as a mate. In a way it's like a fox's marriage, but you still can get married as a human. I need to tell you what you need to know about being a Hanyou and a half-god, as both want to mate with only one person. For you, that person is Hinata," Kurama explained. After a very embarrassing and interesting discussions with a perverted demon fox, a red-faced Naruto walked out the bathroom and went to get breakfast with Hinata. They ate breakfast at Ichiraku's before walking to the academy. As they were walking, they noticed the villagers giving them different looks, some hate, some fear, but most were respect. Ignoring them, they went on their way to the academy. When they reached the door to the classroom, they shared a quick kiss before going in. The class stopped and watched as Naruto and Hinata walked to the back of the class and sit down. Kiba was the first to speak. "Yo Hinata, what say you and me go and get a bite after team selections?" he said with his superior tone, making Naruto make a low grumbling sound. Before she could answer, they heard a small bark and whine. "Huh, what do you mean, drop it, Akamaru?" Kiba asked, pulling out a small white dog from his hoodie for it to bark again. "What do you mean Hinata is not available, and what's this have to do with Naruto being different?" Kiba asked, confused. "You should listen to him, Kiba. When I was 10 something happened and I found out I was not normal. Since there's no use in me trying to hide it, you'll all just find out anyways. I am a Hanyou and half god. And foxes are very possessive and gods tend to be very pissed," Naruto said threateningly. "What is a Hanyou and what is this about fox and gods?" Ino asked curiously. "A Hanyou is half human and half demon. And in myth there has been reports of gods visiting the mortal planes," Sakura said, showing off her book smarts before realizing Naruto just called himself a Hanyou and a half-god. The whole class looked at Naruto hard, trying to see if this was another prank, because he does do those. "Hey Naruto, I hope I am not, Munch, being rude, but, Munch, can you show us, Munch, proof?" Choji asked while eating his chips. Naruto shifted uncomfortably before Hinata hugged his arm for support, making Kiba glare. The class was watched as Naruto made his foxtail and ears appear and his eyes turned into the Uzugen, and to make it more intimidating he started releasing lightning, making his hair stand up. Munch. Wow. Munch. Choji said. Shino just had his blank face mask look and Sasuke was glaring daggers at Naruto while Sakura and Ino screamed a little. Kiba started to growl in a low tone and Shikamaru got up and sat on Naruto's other side and mumbled, "Troublesome frines." After a minute or two, Naruto nodded at Shikamaru and wrapped his tail around Hinata, who hugged it close to her. Shino nodded at Naruto while Choji sat on the other side of Shikamaru. Ino and Sakura calmed down but were wary of Naruto, but it didn't really change the fact he was Naruto, so they didn't mind too much. Sasuke walked up to him. "Dobi, I demand you give me that power. I am an Uchiha elite. With that power I will use it to destroy a certain man," he demanded Naruto in his Uchiha tone. Naruto looked at him as if he was crazy. "You do realize that I 1 can't and 2 there's so many reasons why I should not give you shit that it hurts thinking about it," Naruto said as Sasuke seethed and went back to brooding in the corner. Kiba was a totally different story. "Get away from Hinata. You fucking monster, it's bad enough that she's around you, but now that I know you're a monster it's even worse. They should just kill you and be done with it," Kiba said as he was about to lunge at Naruto. The room felt like it went from summer to winter in an instant as they looked at Hinata, who had her bangs covering her eyes and few could say they saw the Shinigami standing behind her. "Shut up, Kiba. Naruto has been there for me for the last 2.5 years. He has been nothing but nice to everyone. He keeps me happy and sane because if it weren't for him I would have given up on life. He has done nothing wrong. The true monsters are people like you who bully and treat Naruto bad. I am sick of it. So shut up and leave my fiancé alone," Hinata yelled as she slapped Kiba, shocking the class. "It's truly troublesome. Naruto is Naruto as I am me and not my shadow, so why don't you stop being troublesome and sit down," Shikamaru told them. Just then Iruka came in the room to present the teams, saving the room from escalating luckily. "Okay class, settle down. The teams will be: Attack Team 7 is Kiba, Sakura, and Sasuke with Jonin-sensei Kakashi. Tracking and Interrogation Team 8 is Ino, Choji, and Shino. Your Jonin-sensei is Kurenai. Backup, Assault Team 0 is Shikamaru, Naruto, and Hinata. Your Jonin-sensei is Anko. Asuma-sensei is currently busy as the clan head, so he won't be able to help out this year," Iruka said as the whole class turned into an uproar. Ino was complaining about being with Food and Bug Boy, and Sasuke and Kiba were glaring daggers at each other while Sakura was saying random shit about true love prevails. The only ones happy seemed to be Team 0. As they waited for their sensei to pick them up, Naruto and Hinata were talking to Shikamaru. "Hey Shikamaru. Thanks for understanding," Naruto said, shaking his hand. "No problem, Naruto. I can tell between the scroll and the kunai. But I get the feeling there's more you want to tell me," Shikamaru replied, making Naruto nod. "Yep, but I want to tell you and our sensei together," Naruto said. They waited another 5 minutes having small talk before the door opened up to reveal their sensei, a very revealing woman with purple hair and a mesh shirt with a overshirt and a trench coat, walk up to them. "Okay brats, my name is Anko and from now on your asses are mine. So first stop is this little dango stand I like," Anko said as she took off. Naruto turned to Hinata. "Hey, go on ahead without me. I need to get some stuff," Naruto said as he took off, leaving a sad Hinata and Shikamaru as they knew one of the reasons Naruto didn't want to come. They arrived at the dango shop and found Anko sitting at a table with fresh dango happily eating away. Hinata and Shikamaru sat down and waited for their sensei to finish eating. "So where's the blonde brat?" she asked as she finished the last of her dango. Anko's sensei Naru-kun can't come here," Hinata told her in a sad tone. Anko sat there with a confused face before Shikamaru decided to help. "Troublesome Anko's sensei, go and ask the help here if she knows someone named Naruto Uzumaki, as if you don't know him, and don't get mad until she finishes telling you," Shikamaru suggested, to which Anko shrugged and walked over to the help. Anko asked her about Naruto. She got angrier and angrier at what she heard. Deciding to try something out, she talked to people on the way to the Hokage Tower. All the merchants and civilians said was complete bullshit. She almost wanted to kill a civilian who asked if she wanted to help kill the demon brat. She did this with multiple people for an hour. Okay brats, do you know where Naruto is now? She asked and Hinata nodded. Yeah I do, but there's something else you need to know to understand him. Let's tail him and see what happens. Hinata said sadly. When they reached the ramen stand, Naruto thanked Tuchi and Ayame for the meal before going to an antique store when they heard shouting about a demon child and Naruto ran out and into an alley. They waited a couple minutes before a man with black hair in a ponytail in civilian clothes came out and a couple more till Naruto came out with a paper bag. Naruto then hinged into a civilian and began walking to a store where he dropped the hinge and went in. Anko got a little closer and heard the cost of what he was purchasing, thinking he got a lot of stuff to come out with a small white box in one hand and the brown bag in the other. Naruto bought the things he wanted too much to his frog wallet's protest before going to the Hokage monument. When he arrived there he set the stuff down and pulled out a notebook. It read, "Seals and Notes" as Naruto opened the book and began to read and write. So in this diagram it does this. He thought to himself and started to write away happily. To say Anko was shocked was an understatement. He is literally treated like a pest. Even I wasn't treated this bad. Damn, come on, let's greet our other member, she told Shikamaru and Hinata as they walked out towards Naruto. Naruto looked up to see his team. Oh hey guys. I have something I want to give you, Naruto said happily. Oh, and what's that? Anko asked the blonde. Well, this is for Shikamaru, Naruto said, handing the boy the brown bag. When Shikamaru opened it he smiled. Well, what do we have here? He said, pulling out an antique raised shogi set made of red wood with pull-out drawers and the corners looked like pillars, and a book that said, How to be strategic to predict your opponent's moves in hand to hand. Wow, this is pretty cool, thanks Naruto, Shikamaru said, shaking Naruto's hand to bring him into a bro hug, making Hinata and Anko smile. And for you, Hina-chan, Naruto said, kissing her before giving her the small white box, and pulled out a belt with pouches for medicine, poisons, and senbons. Both of his other teammates smiled when Hinata hugged him. Oh, and for you, Anko. Well, think of it as the best thing ever, even better than all the dango in the world. Can I see you curse, seal? Naruto said, making Anko scoff. Brat, you better not be pulling my leg or you will regret it, she said before showing him her shoulder. Naruto's eyes started to swirl and went through the hand. Seal said, Uzu, seal break, as the seal disappeared. Anko felt nothing. She actually didn't feel the seal anymore. Anko smiled before trying to hug Naruto. Keyword try, because Hinata had pulled him out the way with a look that said, mine. Anko turned to her team. Alright, let's introduce ourselves. Say your likes, dislikes, and hobbies. You first, Pineapple, she told them, and they smiled. Troublesome. I like the word troublesome and being lazy like cloud watching. I dislike working, but I like to train and cloud watch as hobbies, Shikamaru said, and they nodded. Anko then turned to Hinata. Okay, your turn. Hinata, she said, deciding not to piss off Naruto. Okay, I like cinnamon rolls, Naru-kun, training and flower pressing and poisons. I dislike people who bully, especially Naru-kun. And I want to help the branch half of my clan, she said, and Anko smiled ever since the word poison and looked at Naruto. Alright. Foxy, she said with a grin. I like my fiancé Hinata-chan and I like training. I want to get stronger to protect and to make my ancestor proud. I want to be the strongest and best god, demon out there. I dislike bad people, and the wait time for ramen, he said nonchalantly. Alright team, usually we do a test to see if you are worthy of being genin. But I say heck with the test. Don't care much for tests, so we are going to train to see if you impress me. If you do, I might even teach you a jutsu or two. If you survive, she said, but the last part was just a whisper. Anko was surprised at the level of skill shown by Naruto and Hinata. She actually had to start them on cage level exercises because there wasn't much she could do. Poor lazy Shikamaru got motivated to work with some snake summons courtesy of Anko, but despite the conditions they all had smiles on their faces because they knew they would get stronger. When it was sundown, Anko called them over. Well brats, I am happy to inform you. Welcome to Team Anko, the most awesome team. With that said, I want you here every day except Wednesdays and the weekends. Every other day report at Training Ground 44 where we will train till we drop. Anko informed her team. Anko-chan. Will we be doing D-ranks? Hinata asked. Nope, those are mostly for teamwork, but we will do team spars and training, so no need. That, and I don't feel like doing them, Anko said, smiling as the team cheered and dispersed. Hokage Tower. Minato called the Jonin senseis to give him a report on how they did. Okay, tell me how your teams did starting from Kakashi to Anko, Minato ordered them. Team 7 barely passed, they fight too much, but I hope to get them to understand teamwork, Kakashi said, upset at his team. Team 8 passed. But needs work and a lot of it, Kurenai said. Anko just laughed at the two. My team is so awesome. Team Anko passed and I can't wait to train them to the ground, Anko said, smiling wickedly. Everyone looked at her like she grew a second head. What? They're pretty cool for being a bunch of brats, Anko asked. Anko, what did they do to get you so happy? Kurenai asked. She was Anko's best friend and closest to the snake mistress. Anko pulled down her shirt by her shoulder and everyone gasped. Anko, what happened to you? ? Kurenai asked, happy for her friend. The brat removed it, she replied. The Jonins decided to go to the bar to talk after the meeting. Namikaze Estate. Naruto and Hinata had walked home enjoying time together and laughing. When they reached the house, Hinata opened the door and was tackled by Hanabi. Hey sister. Guess what, I finally hit 5 targets with the kunai, Hanabi told her sister. That's great Hanabi, keep practicing to get better, okay, Hinata said as she went to take a shower in one bathroom and Naruto another. They both told their family about their day at dinner. Congratulations Naruto and Hinata. I also would like to say that me and my team are going on a week-long mission before the Chunin exams. And I hope to see you there, Neji said, smiling at them while Hana and Kushina gave them hugs. Later that night, Kushina gave Naruto a list of Uzumaki Fuinjutsu and a book on making own jutsus from her and Minato. Hana gave Hinata the bunny summons and a bow and arrow Hana used to use. Minato walked up to Naruto, kneeling to his level. Well, I am happy to say that I got your name changed to Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze, he said, and Naruto nodded. Thanks dad. Hey, maybe sometime we can train a bit or talk about seals, Naruto said, wanting to spend time with his dad. Of course, Minato said as they went to their rooms. When they retired to their room, Naruto pulled Hinata to him with his tail. Thank you for sticking up for me earlier today, Hinaheim, Naruto said before kissing her, gently putting his lips to hers before lightly biting her lower lip, asking for entrance. Hinata complied as they started to make out. They had to stop to breath as they were trying to breath. Hinata told him, of course Naru-kun. I love you, she said as she pulled him closer, and they both fell asleep, excited to put their new gifts to use. Over the weeks, which turned to a couple of months, Naruto, Hinata, and Shikamaru worked on their teamwork and training. Since Naruto and Hinata knew all the way to cage level exercises, Naruto godlike because Alex, they still trained to keep in shape and get better, eventually coming up with their own ways of training. It had been 2 months and Naruto and Hinata were always seen together. Their team had done a few C rank and Anko made a flag that read, Team Anko, that now hung from Training Ground 44, aka, the Forest of Death. We now see Naruto practicing a new taijutsu style called Kitsunken, where he integrated his tail into fighting while Shikamaru used snake-style sparring together. Naruto threw a punch to Shikamaru's gut, to which Shikamaru blocked by smacking his arm away. Naruto then spun on his heel and, using Shikamaru's push to gain momentum, threw a punch at Shikamaru's side before using his tail to knock him down to his knees. Naruto threw a punch at his head just to stop an inch away. Okay, stop now. That was really good, brats. Let's go on to chakra control, Anko told them. Hey Shikamaru, that was a good fight. You're really good, Naruto complimented him. You as well. So you use your tail, huh? He asked, and Naruto nodded. Anko, Naruto and Shikamaru started to walk over to the tree line where they saw Hinata working with her bow. Over the months, Naruto and Hinata got really good with their sword and bow, so good they can even put Hayate on the defensive. Naruto really enjoyed his fusion sword. Think Cloud Strife form Final Fantasy advert children, hehe. He could make it a lightweight one-handed OT two-handed and even split it in two. It was surprises the enemies because it can change shape and form. Hinata summoned a bunny called Ariel and can kick hard. Ryu learned the hard way when he started chasing Ariel trying to mate. It was a long dark day for Ryu. Naruto walked up to Hinata and kissed her. It had been around 2.5 years they have been together and she no longer was nervous about open affection. Hey Hina. How's it going? Naruto asked. Naru-kun, I can finally hit 2 targets in the center if I fire 3 arrows at once, Hinata said happily as Naruto nodded, hugging her. As they were all talking about how it was going, Anko was looking at her team proudly. Damn brats. I am going to make so much money off of them come the Chunin exams, she thought, liking her lips looking at how much they change. Hinata wore a lavender shirt that gripped her body, showing her growing bust, and some tight-fitting shinobi pants that showed her curves with a pair of combat boots. She also wore her ring and hairpin while her bow was on her back and was made of chakra metal. Naruto had put some seals on it to make it lighter and fire faster. Naruto was very possessive when people looked at her. A couple of times they had to restrain him from blowing up a civilian, and one time Anko, Shikamaru and Hinata had to restrain Naruto from pouncing her. Not that Hinata minded, but they were in the middle of town. Naruto was more built and muscular, making Hinata always cling to him while sending glares to other girls. Naruto wore a black skin-tight muscle shirt with a dark orange swirl on his left shoulder and the Namikaze lightning bolt on his right, and wore his gift from Alex the God cloak, which he found out protects from elements such as shock and fire. He was wearing black combat pants with a pouch belt and a pair of black combat boots with dark orange laces and some dark orange arm wraps. And Fox Fang, his sword. Naruto found out it had the power to project any element into the blade and the power to cast jutsu, since he could not use hand seals while using it. He put a lot of seals on it to make it stronger, and his favorite was a gravity and sharpening seal that could make it as heavy as he wanted and no one could pick it up except for his team. He could cut an entire tree down with his blade if he wanted. Shikamaru had his normal pineapple-style hair but wore a dark blue shirt with black shorts and a pair of combat boots and a black flak jacket. He had fingerless gloves with gravity seals on them from Naruto to make him hit harder. Okay brats, I think we are now ready to take a mission. What say you? Anko asked, already knowing the answer. I say we put Team Anko on the map. All shall fear us Anko ne-san, Naruto said with a maniacal fox grin. Over the months everyone took after Anko in their own way, Naruto the most, taking a little of her personality, Shikamaru her talking. Hinata took her self-confidence and was now more open, but not as much as she was with Naruto. They all nodded in agreement as they took off, Anko smiling as they walked towards the Hokage Tower. Hokage Tower Mission Room. Naruto opened the doors to the mission room and was greeted by his father, who gave him a quick hug. Naruto. What can I do for you today? Minato asked. I can't believe how well we get to along now. I finally have a dad and mom, while Hinata has her mom, Hanabi, and Neji. We finally get our family, Naruto thought. Team Anko would like a C-rank mission, Naruto said, smiling. Minato smiled at that. Sure, I actually was just looking for a team to back up Team 7. Apparently their mission went from a simple C to an high B, or possibly a rank it might get even worse. Minato said as Naruto and Anko shouted, well take it, before laughing together. Okay Team Anko, go and get ready, we will be going to help some hopeless hopefuls, Anko said as they dispersed to get ready. Team Anko met up at the gate 10 minutes later, packed and ready to go. Hey Anko, if you want I can flash us there. Kakashi has one of my seals, Naruto said. Getting a nod from her, Naruto grabbed his team and flashed away, leaving smirking gate guards behind. Team 7 10 minutes earlier. Kakashi and his team had just crossed the river and were walking towards the village of waves, when Kiba threw a kunai at a nearby bush. When Kiba parted the bush, there was a white rabbit. Kiba, quit playing with your kunai. You almost hurt this poor rabbit, she whined. Kakashi saw the rabbit and heard a whistling sound. He yelled, get down, as he dragged Tazuna down with him. Not even a second later, a giant sword flew where their necks were and lodged into a tree, with a man who had a mask from his neck to his nose made of bandages wrapped cloth and a black tank top with baggy ninja pants. Well, if it isn't the copycat ninja and a group of ninja wannabes, he said, producing high levels of ki. The genin stood in fear as Zabuza began to talk to Kakashi. Team 7, don't fear, I will protect you with my life. Remember the rule of friends, Kakashi said, calming down his team. But Zabuza had other plans and said water clone jutsu and sent then towards the genin while dodging a kunai from Kakashi as he called out great fireball jutsu, sending a giant ball of fire to the missing nin. Sasuke, in his arrogant nature, engaged Zabuza in taijutsu, but Zabuza, being more experienced, taller and stronger, kicked Sasuke, sending him into a tree, knocking him unconscious. Is this the best you can do? Ha asked as he slammed his knee into Kiba, who was trying to fight him effectively, knocking him out. As he brutally beat Sasuke and Kiba, Kakashi was fighting the real Zabuza. Water bullet jutsu. Kakashi said, shooting the jutsu at Zabuza, who called out water wall as a wall of water rose blocking the oncoming attack. The Zabuza clone was about to cleave Sasuke and Kiba, but before he could kill them, Kakashi appeared and stabbed him with a kunai, making the clone burst into water. While Zabuza appeared behind Kakashi to fast for him to replace with a log as Zabuza's sword came full swing down on him. Before he got halfway through the swing, a bright flash of yellow and a thud sound was heard. Zabuza looked at a kid no older than 12 or 13 holding a sword as his was cleaved in half while the other half stuck in the ground. "What? How did you do that, brat?" Zabuza asked, seeing his mighty sword cut through like butter. "Hey, that's a secret," Naruto said while Hinata was healing Sasuke and reluctantly Kiba, and Shikamaru protected Sakura. Anko found another nin hiding and subdued the girl with a paralyzing kunai that nicked her. Zabuza saw that there was no winning, tried to swing but his sword refused to hit the boy. "Zabuza Momochi, as clan head of Uzushiogakure, I order you as the current heir of Uzumaki to put down your sword or forsake the oath you took upon receiving your sword. You shall join the Leaf as an ally, for I hereby grant asylum to the Leaf as son of the Hokage and head of the Namikaze clan," Naruto commanded Zabuza as the others looked at him like he was crazy. Zabuza nodded before saying, "Fine, brat, seeing as how I can't fight the head of Uzushiogakure or else my sword will reject me. I accept your offer. I am sick of running anyways and Haku deserves a home. So I will humor you, but first you can fix my sword," he said as Naruto put the two pieces together and they fused back together. "Hey Zabuza-san, I can make you sword better if you would like," Naruto said, making Zabuza laugh like a maniac. "Oh, really then? I accept your offer," he said sarcastically. "What's so funny? I happen to be a cage-level shinobi. And a deity," he said, smirking at Zabuza, who looked pale then laughed. "Okay, Mr. Deity, what are you, a god, a demon like me, or what, a ghost?" he said, laughing, but stopped as soon as Naruto revealed his tails and lightning started shooting off of him. "Actually, I am half god half demon and it would be unwise to provoke me," he said seriously as Zabuza and a now awake Haku paled. The two ninja teams and Zabuza and Haku went to Tazuna House. Shikamaru carried Sasuke and Kakashi carried Kiba. When they arrived, a young woman called Tsunami opened the door. "Wow, hello Shinobi-san, I am sorry to tell you but we only have 3 extra beds and a couch," Tsunami said. "Oh, don't worry, we will make it work," Anko said, looking at Zabuza with a predatory smile. Anko was it. "How about me? You, have a talk about torture and killing and maybe what kind of positions we like." Zabuza trailed off with a maniacal look. "I think that wise in our current situation, don't you?" she said as they both walked off laughing like maniacs. The rest of the party saw this and shivered except for her team, who called out, "Way to go, Anko. Make sure to tell him the method that involves salt and a potato peeler," Naruto yelled out. The others looked at her team like they were crazy. "Alright, since Anko's busy, that makes me in charge again. Alright, for our first step we shall help build the bridge, and after it turns nightfall we will be doing blindfolded sparring and kunai catching, then to perfect our chakra control we will be sleeping upside down using chakra subconsciously. When we wake up we shall run around the village for an hour and then proceed to lifting rocks with level 20 gravity seals since ours are full level 20. 20 plus 20 is 40, then 40 times a 5-pound rock would be 200 pounds. So in the end we will be lifting one 200-pound rock in each hand," Naruto told his team. They all were smiling at the idea of getting stronger while the others had their jaws on the floor. "And Naruto-san, do you mind if I join you?" Haku asked hesitantly of their idea of training at first. "Of course, but if it's too much to handle it's okay to take it down a notch. Trust me, we've been doing this for the past 3 weeks and we're still having trouble," Naruto told her as they walked away talking and getting to know each other. Haku told them about her tragedy and Naruto and Hinata theirs and decided to be friends. "Hey Haku ni-chan, can you show me some ice release jutsu?" Naruto asked and Haku smiled. Ni-chan, is it? Well, I am sorry to say but you can't do ice release. See?" she said, going through hand seals, dog right pointing arrow, rabbit right pointing arrow, ram ice spears, and ice-shaped spears shot through the ground, but what made her trip was Naruto preformed the jutsu. "And Naruto, you can do ice release too?" she asked, shocked, and Naruto nodded. "Yup, I can do all elements." "So about that training?" he asked, liking his lips and doing Anko's traditional kukuku. They talked on their way and ended up training all day and night for a week and a half. It is now the day before the bridge is complete. Naruto and the rest of the shinobi were eating at the table when Inari, a little kid, came in slamming his hand on the table. "Why do you even try? Gato will just kill you all. You should just," he was saying before Naruto cut in. "Just what, give up?" "No, I don't think so. You see, your parents are strong. Standing up when you know it will be tough is what true strength is. You're weak, cowering behind your parents just like Gato cowers behind his men. The only thing stopping Gato is yourself, because unlike your parents you are weak and will stay that way until you can overcome your pain. I am not going to say what I had to do, but I overcame mine, and so can you," Naruto said before going outside and taking off into the woods. Hinata followed after him, leaving a crying Inari and a mostly shocked table except for Anko, Shikamaru, and Kakashi. Hinata didn't even need to activate her Byakugan to find Naruto. She walked up to him, enveloping him in a hug. "Shish, it's okay, I know you didn't mean it. Come, let's lay down and talk," Hinata said softly as Naruto and her started talking. "I am sorry I lost my cool. It's just everyone thinks they have it so bad, but in reality some have it worse," Naruto said as Hinata rubbed his cheeks. "I know, Naru. You should try and be there for them. Like you were there for me," she said, kissing him as they fall asleep together outside. The next morning Hinata had Naruto's head in her lap, stroking his cheek. After the weekend workouts they were exhausted. She was petting his cheek and could hear his low grumbling sound and saw his tail swishing peacefully. When Hinata started humming, Naruto's tail stopped moving and his ears twitched before it started to sway with her humming. "Hina-chan, don't stop. So beautiful. I love you," Naruto said as he listened for a while until she finished. Hinata giggled and bent down to kiss him. Her soft lips went down to his and they felt the familiar heat of each other's lips. Naruto waited before licking her lips, asking for entry, as she happily agreed. They went from him in her lap to him over her, making out. They were so absorbed they didn't see a pissed-looking Kiba and oddly Sasuke. Shikamaru deep in thought and Anko, Kakashi, and Zabuza giggling at Sakura and Haku's red faces. When they finally broke, Naruto saw their observers, not minding at all. "Hey Anko-sensei, what's up?" Naruto asked casually, making the other sweat drop. "Today's the day we finish the bridge. So let's get going," Anko told them as they all took off to the bridge. Once they reached the bridge it was quiet. A little too quiet and very foggy. As they approached the bridge they saw the workers tied up next to an army of thugs and two people in front, one a short man in a business suit and the other was a man with sickly gray skin and white hair and a lot of pouches down a trench coat with no part of his body visible. Before anyone could do anything the man shot a dart out of his sleeve and into Hinata's thigh. As she dropped, "Hinata!" Naruto called out, running to her. As Hinata fell the man came shooting past Naruto, snatching Hinata before Naruto could, and took off due to Naruto being mostly exhausted and having just increased his seals, with an enraged Naruto after him. The others started instantly dispatching the thugs so they could get Hinata back and calm down Naruto. "With man and Naruto, Kumo will reward me very nicely for an unsealed Byakugan," the man said as he ran through the woods with Naruto closing fast. He was about a foot away. "I will fucking kill you," Naruto said, deactivating his seals, and disappeared to reappear in front of the man, taking Hinata and kicking the man away. Naruto pulled the needle out and stabbed himself to see if it was poisoned, since he could heal himself. "Ha ha ha, that is a really potent poison. And only I have the antidote, so give her here like a good boy, and I, the mighty poison expert, Ward, will let you live," Ward said maniacally as he pulled out a vial. Naruto snarled. "No," as Ward shrugged, throwing the vial down and shattering it. Quickly Naruto bit his thumb and, going through the hand seals, said summoning jutsu as a puff of smoke revealed a fox with gold fur with red tips. "Heal her Ryuu," Naruto commanded, still looking at Ward. "Oh okay. I have a message for you when you're done," Ryu said as he started to heal her. Naruto turned to Ward as his eyes turned to the Uzugan before gold chakra shot out of him and ate more tails. "Roar! I am going to make you suffer," Naruto roared before disappearing just to reappear and hit him. This happened for several minutes till Ward was on one knee, bruised, bleeding and breathing hard. Not saying anything, Naruto came up and using his elongated fingernails scratched Ward across the back. Then he kicked him in the where he had just cut, making him slam into a tree before crying out as a kunai stabbed through his arm and into the tree, keeping him in place. Naruto, who was far from finished, kicked his arm, shattering it with the sheer power. then continued to punch him till his bones were shattered from his ribs to his arms and continued his onslaught. Naruto grabbed Ward's foot as he was trying to crawl away before twisting it backwards, earning a scream from the man Foxfire. Searing flames, Naruto said as he shot flames out his mouth to the poor man, turning him into ash. Naruto walked towards Hinata, nudging her cheek, but before he could see if she was okay, a group of IWA nins jumped out the trees. "Kill the Namikaze," they said as they charged at Naruto. Carefully picking her up, Naruto ran up a mountain. Setting her down gently, he turned around and put his tails around his mouth and started gathering a ball of chakra as it swirled into purple ball, which he quickly swallowed, looking towards the IWA shinobi as they were getting closer with a maniacal grin. "Tailed beast ball," he shouted, shooting out a large beam for miles down the side of the mountain, destroying everything in its way. Hinata stirred awake and had just opened her eyes to see Naruto very pissed off and destroy half a mountain. "He seems so mad, what can I do to calm him?" "Oh, I know," she thought before humming her tune. Naruto had just destroyed the enemy and was still pissed when he heard a tune he knew all too well. When he looked down, he saw Hinata with a sad expression humming her tune. "It's okay, Naru-kun. It's okay, I am still alive, okay. I won't leave you. I love you, Naru-kun. You protected me, see," Hinata said, making Naruto sniff her chest much to her embarrassment as she rubbed the tears out his eyes before giving him a kiss. I love you so much. Don't want to lose. Only happiness," Naruto said before falling asleep in her arms. Hinata was sad, not because of what Naruto did, he had every right to, but because of how he said what he said, it as if he lost a part of him and finally got it back. "I must get stronger for Naru-kun so I can't worry him," she thought as she laid down next to him, stress and fatigue making her fall into slumber. The next day, Naruto woke up next to Hinata in their client's house. He quickly hugged her and started crying. "I am sorry, Hinata. I promised to get stronger," Naruto thought, not realizing Hinata awake and trying to comfort him. "Naru-kun, please calm down, I am not upset." "Do you want to talk?" she asked, making him nod. "Hinaheim, I am sorry I lost it. I don't ever want to lose you. You are the only thing I care about. Without you I don't know what I would do," he said before kissing her with all his love. Hinata was surprised by his warm lips against hers but quickly returned the kiss. Naruto licked her bottom lip, asking her for permission to enter. She complied, opening her mouth as he slipped his tongue in her mouth, exploring it as their passion-filled kiss turned into a makeout session. "Hinata-chan, I love you, please don't go away," Naruto said when they broke their kiss. Seeing Naruto's sad and pained eyes, she shook her head before taking his hand and placing it in her chest over her beating heart. "Naruto, when I am with you, you make me happy and my heart will only beat for you. So don't ever think of me leaving you again, okay?" Hinata said, bending over to kiss him. Naruto was stunned by her words before kissing Hinata again. His hand moved from her chest to her bottom, caressing it. He wanted her heart to beat for him and only him. Hinata felt his hands move from her waist to her ass and eeped a little before snuggling her red face into his chest, feeling his heart booming. "Naruto, I love you so much. I want to get stronger to stay side by side with you," she said. "Hina. Let's get stronger together. But first let's stay like this," Naruto finally spoke as he covered them with his tails. The next day they woke up snuggled next to each other and shared a kiss before getting dressed and heading out. As they met up in bedroom, Naruto intertwined his fingers with hers and they headed downstairs. "Anko-sensei and Zabuza-sensei, as soon as we get back to the leaf we ask for the most intense, craziest training you can offer," Naruto asked when he saw the group. Zabuza and Anko looked at each other with a knowing smile. "Alright brats, when we get back it's the new improved training from hell for you all," Anko said, making Naruto and Hinata smile while Shikamaru muttered, "Troublesome," but smiled nonetheless. Naruto and Hinata explained what happened when they were separated to the group and then packed to leave. As the group left they saw all the villagers gathered at the bridge. As they said they're good, they saw Inari and Naruto talking. "Don't cry, Inari. I will come and visit, and the Chunin exams are in 3 more months. You should come and visit, but remember, stay strong and protect those you care about," Naruto said, giving Inari a quick hug before leaving with the group. Kakashi and his group left ahead to report to the Hokage, the whole time no one talking to Naruto except Haku and his team and sometimes Kakashi. "Hey, what should we name the bridge?" a villager asked. How about the Great Naruto Bridge to show that there will always be two sides connected and that live together peacefully? Tsunami said as they all cheered in agreement. Hokage Tower 3 days later. Kakashi and his group arrived just moments earlier and gave the Hokage his report, and that's what happened, Minato-sensei, Kakashi concluded seriously. Thanks Kakashi-kun. I will speak to Naruto later. For now, well done. Take a break and tell Team Anko that they will be on break until the Chunin exams. And pay for AS rank mission. Tell Naruto that I need to see him, Minato said as Kakashi nodded, leaving. While in a room with claw marks all over, you could hear growling, "Damn that monster. I need to get rid of him and make sure Hinata sees him for what he is," Kiba said as he left his room. Naruto and the team had just arrived in the village. Signing in at the gate, they decided to go to the Akamichi barbecue where they met Choji, Ino, and Shino. "Hey Shikamaru, sorry I kinda upped the training for us all," Naruto said after a bite of steak. "Nah, it's okay Naruto. We're a team, and besides I want to get stronger too," he told him. "So, Munch, guys, how much goes the training, Munch?" Choji asked. "Well, it's actually been mostly conditioning and chakra control, but Anko-sensei said we will be mostly learning jutsu this time." Hinata ate their meal talking about what happened lately. "Hey, we have to go now, but we should do this again sometime, Hinata," Ino said as the other group nodded before parting ways, while Naruto and Hinata left to go to their house. When they reached the Namikaze compound, they were met with Hanabi and Hana, who were really excited. "Hinata-chan, how was your mission? Tell me everything," Hanabi asked excitedly, dragging her sister off to talk with their mother. Minato walked up to Naruto with Kushina. "Son, it's time we kicked your training up a notch. I know what happened with your last mission, so you're going to train harder," Minato informed him while taking his Hokage robes off as Naruto nodded in return. "I won, but still I want to prevent them from even moving towards me or my teammates. They will think next time they try to attack me," he said, and Minato and Kushina hugged their son. "But enough of that. Let's go eat out tonight," Kushina said enthusiastically as they all went to get ready. They ate dinner and talked, and Naruto turned to Neji. "Hey Neji, I can't wait to see you in the Chunin exams," he said excitedly as Neji nodded. "Yes. I just hope I can survive if we face off," he said as everyone laughed. Naruto and Hinata were laying in bed. As she was kissing him, he broke the kiss. "I am going on another training period. Train hard, Heim, and know this, when I return I will be stronger," he said, looking in her beautiful lavender eyes. "Ah, I want more Naruto time. Fine, I will just have to train extra hard so I can stand side by side with you," she said, lightly pecking his lips as he held her, letting sleep take them over. 3-month time summary. For the first 2 weeks, Naruto and his team trained to the ground Anko conditioning, Zabuza weapons, Kushina chakra, and all of them jutsu. Over the weeks they all learned and mastered several jutsu. Naruto and Hinata were happy and together all the time, and as they trained they went on a few dates to eat Shiraku's ramen. Shikamaru was training with his clan and Anko. When Naruto and Hinata parted for their summons realm, they were sad but promised a picnic date when they returned. Naruto learned more about foxes and the powers earlier and spent a month and a half training with Alex, getting to know him better, and even met Tomomi. Day of return at the Hokage heads. Naruto, now 15, stood at 5 feet 6 inches and was built for his age. He had a black skin-tight muscle shirt with a dark orange vertical strip down his back, but you couldn't really tell as he had a waist-to-shoulder zip-up vest with black pants and combat boots. But the most noticeable changes was his hair looked like Minato's that ended at his shoulder blades. When he ed onto the monument, he sighed. "Home. Hinaheim, I can't wait," he said happily as he walked to his house. The villagers still gave him looks, but the shinobi gave him smiles and nodded as they recognized he was not what they thought and was getting stronger. As he was walking, he overheard that Hinata was in the hospital. He immediately stopped in his tracks and flashed to her. Hinata stood 5 feet 2 inches and had Lonheim-style hair down to her shoulder blades and was in the hospital and had bandages on torso and arm, wearing shorts and a bra. The doctors had just left when there was a yellow flash, making her heart race. "Naru-kun. I am so happy to see you," she said with her eyes watering as Naruto was immediately at her side. "Hina. Bear with me. I am going to help. Do you trust me?" Naruto asked, getting a nod before removing the bandages, much to Hinata's embarrassment as Naruto brought his face to her stomach where the cuts were visible. He licked the wounds and kissed them, making Hinata squirm with embarrassment and jolts of pleasure before she let a moan escape. Naru-kun. She moaned before noticing her wounds closing, not leaving a single scar, but Naruto just kissed her stomach before removing the bandages on her arm and bit her gently, sinking his elongated teeth in her, making all the wounds close. When he was done, he noticed Hinata's red face and smiled. "Hina. How did this happen?" he asked worriedly as he crawled into the bed and covered them with his tails. Flashback to mission. Kiba had grabbed Hinata by the arm. "Why can't you see he's a dangerous monster?" he yelled. "Come on Kiba, let go. The enemy is almost here," she said, trying to break free. "No. I will not allow you to see that thing," Kiba said before getting slapped by Hinata, which made him let go, but not before she tripped and started rolling down the hill while the enemy sent kunai at her, cutting her up. Flashback end. Naruto was growling, ready to go kill Kiba, when Hinata brought his face to hers, kissing him with a deep passion. As he leaned into the kiss, he held onto something soft and Hinata moaned before he realized he was grabbing her through her bra, making him grumble, satisfied she liked his touch. He gently let loose her lips before trialing kisses down her jaw to her neck, leaving a small red mark. He kept going down to her cleavage, making her moan before kissing her stomach. "Hinaheim. I want you. When we finish the Chunin exams, it will be close to our birthday. I want to get married, I can't wait anymore," he said in a husky voice, making Hinata blush a deep crimson. "Well then I guess we can have our birthday the same day as mine. When we get married, but we have to pick a date for the honeymoon," she said suggestively with a hint of lust. Naruto kissed her again before they laid in bed, cuddled together, letting sleep take them over. With thoughts of the tomorrow's exams in thought. When they woke up, Naruto waited outside the bathroom for her to change. When she came out, he could only stare at her beauty. She was at least starting to grow into a double D, and her hourglass figure was to kill for. They both walked out and checked out, heading to training ground 44 to meet their sensei. Naruto wanted her to take it easy, so he carried her. "Hello Anko-sensei, look who I found," Hinata said jokingly to Anko. "Hinata, you're healed." "No doubt with Naruto's help." "Good, and Naruto, I heard you worked with the Uzumaki?" Anko asked, getting a nod. "Hey Shikamaru. How was training?" Naruto asked. "Good Naruto, I was able to get better with my shadows. I can now detach them and control opponents from a distance," he replied happily. "Alright brats, well it's time for the exams, so what are you waiting for? Go strike fear into our enemy and Naruto. I might or might not rig the end so you can fight that shit called Kiba," Anko said, laughing at the maniacal grin on Naruto's face as he took off with Hinata and Shikamaru in tow. As they were walking, they met with Konohamaru, who was talking with Naruto. "Hey boss. So you're going to the exams? Cool, when you're done can we play ninja later?" he asked excitedly, but before Naruto could answer they heard someone scoff. "What kind of ninja plays ninja?" Sakura asked. "No one asked you, flat-chested girl. Go away," Konohamaru said, annoyed, before Naruto leaned in and whispered. "Hey, your ninja training starts now. Try to survive the flat-chested girl," as they noticed a dark aura around her. Konohamaru took off running as Sakura chased him, but due to her dieting she had to stop to breath. "We should go stop her now," Hinata said as they took off after them. When they rounded the corner they noticed Sakura looking pale and a blonde girl with an odd hairstyle and a man in a catsuit with makeup on holding Konohamaru. Both had Suna symbols. "That hurt brat," he started to say, raising his fist to hit him. "Put him down, clown. You shouldn't hit children. Let alone the god of shinobi's child," Naruto told the man, making him drop Konohamaru. "Ya, don't be so troublesome. And your teammate doesn't look so happy," Shikamaru said in his lazy tone. The two sand nin looked up to see a red-haired kid with a gourd on his back with the kanji for love on his forehead, making them pale. "Gee Gaara, we were just trying," the man said before Gaara cut him off. "Shut up before I kill you," he said with a lot of ki flowing. "You're a disgrace, Star," he was saying before Naruto cut in. "Oi, you should get your seal checked. And as for you Shikaku, what would your father say about this?" "Tisk tisk, he told me to watch over his children." "And are you killing? Did his dream die?" Naruto said in a sad tone as Gaara clutched his head, panting. What did you do?" he asked Naruto. "I talked with Shikaku. I can fix your seal to where you can sleep and not be influenced by Shikaku," Naruto said plainly, making Gaara stop and think, shocking his teammates. "I shall kill you to prove my existence. But if you win, then I will do as you say," he said before leaving with his team and Naruto his both side a little confused as to what happened. Naruto ne-san, that was amazing. Konohamaru was saying before Shikamaru interrupted. You probably should go now, he said politely as Konohamaru nodded, running off. Hinata, do you still remember the 5-point seal? I have a feeling you will need it, Naruto said, and Hinata nodded as they reached the exam building. When they entered and walked up the stairs to the second floor, they saw a lot of genin at the entrance of a room with the letters 302 over it, but was clearly a genjutsu as this was only the second floor. Naruto and his team were walking by as if nothing when they heard a dreaded voice. Release the genjutsu now, Sasuke said arrogantly to the Chunin in disguise, making them groan. Man, this is supposed to weed out the weak, the first man said before dispelling the jutsu. Naruto and his team watched as the Chunin walked off. We better get out of here before there's more troublesome trouble, Shikamaru said as they left. The team started walking when Naruto walked into a ninja with a green jumpsuit and bowl-cut hair with thick bushy brows. Holy shit, it's a clone of Guy. Sorry for running into you. Naruto said, surprised. What a great display of youthfulness. I am Rock Lee, and it seems you are familiar with my youthful sensei Guy. The green ninja all but yelled. So you're Neji's teammate? Naruto said more to himself. Yes, I am. Can I have your name? Lee asked. Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze. Hey, bushy brows, where is the rest of your team? Naruto asked, noticing his team wasn't with him. They are on their way, he was saying before they came up behind him. Hello Hinata-chan. I see you're out the hospital. I am guessing Naruto help with your condition, Neji said, smiling as Hinata turned a hint of pink and nodded as she remembered how Naruto healed her. Naruto noticed a girl around Neji's height and age with tan shinobi clothes. You must be Tenten. Neji has told me quite a bit about you, Naruto said, suggestively wiggling his eyebrows. Oh really now? What did he say? She asked, curious. And nothing, Neji said, hitting Naruto with a blush, making Team Anko laugh. It was short-lived as Sasuke's team came up and Lee saw Sakura with stars in his eyes. You must be Sakura-chan. Please go out with me, I promise to protect you with my life, Lee said, making Sakura blush a little, remembering something her and Ino talked about. You should try to find someone better than Sasuke who actually cares about you, Sakura. I got Choji, and Hinata has Naruto. I gave up Sasuke because he didn't care about me the slightest, she remembered Ino telling her. Maybe, but your outfit could use a change. What say you change it up a bit and we could get to know each other better at the mall? Maybe Ino and Hinata could bring their boyfriends too, Sakura said, surprising everyone. Lee just did a little happy dance. Yes, I shall change into a more youthful outfit for you, he was saying before everyone felt the room go ice cold to see the source was Naruto, who was looking at Kiba, who just entered like, pray, I will destroy you for what you did to my Hime. And I can't wait, Naruto said darkly before leaving the room and storming off, making everyone pray a quick death for Kiba because there was no way he would survive. Hinata took off after Naruto and was running after him, turning around the corner of the hallway when she was grabbed to the side and pushed against the wall. At first she was surprised and worried until she noticed Naruto holding her in a protective embrace and his lips on her neck. Oh Naru, I love you, she thought, rubbing his back in a caring way. Hinata, I want to protect you. I think it's my wild side, my demon blood, that is making me want to smash Kiba into the ground for what he did. But I want to keep you safe, Naruto told her truthfully. Naru-kun, listen to me and listen to me well. You and me both know it's okay to be mad. You just have to wait till the time is right. But for now, how about we go to the exam room? It will start any moment, she said in her soft, commanding tone with a smile, kissing him on the cheek. I need to get stronger to protect her. To make sure this never happens, again, Naruto thought as he wrapped his arms around her. Well then, it just gives us a moment to enjoy each other's company, he said, making her smile as she met him halfway in a kiss with his tails wrapping around her torso and leg. Naruto slowly broke apart and entwined his fingers with hers as they entered the room. The whole room went silent and stared at the two. Naruto and Hinata just ignored them and continued walking, looking around the room themselves, and saw Shikamaru, who was standing with the other rookies talking to a man in a purple vest with a white undershirt and some purple shinobi pants. Naruto saw the rest of the room watching him like hawk ready to snatch up prey, making him smirk. All the genin there thought he was truly an enigma, and for IWA they were getting quite jumpy after being ordered to kill him by their sensei. In a room with monitors, There were a total of 11 people around a table. Those people were the clan heads Shikakao Nara, Hiyashi Hyuga, Inoichi Yamanaka, Sume Inazuku, and Shibi Abrame, Minato the Hokage, and the Jonin senseis Anko, Kurenai, and Kakashi, and oddly Zabuza. So who do you think will pass the tests? Minato asked the room. All the clan heads said their children would before a man well-known spoke up. The damn blonde brat and his girl, Zabuza said, nodding slowly. I agree with my man, Anko said as all the people present stared at her. Your man, when did this happen? Kurenai asked, a little bewildered, asking the question on everyone's mind. Yeah, my man, and ever since Wave. I'll tell you all the juicy details later, Anko said with a perverted smirk, making Kurenai turn red. The others all seemed to support their children, and Naruto and Hinata ended getting support from Zabuza, Anko, and oddly Kakashi. Wait, what about your own team? Sume asked the Cyclops. Well, I think Naruto and Hinata might become cage level before they're even done with these exams, he said, making the others' eyes widen and focus on the screen to see for themselves. Back in the waiting room, before all the rest of the genin snapped from the tension in the room, they were saved by the doors swinging open and a man wearing a black IT uniform with a bandana cap covering his head came in. Silence. My name is Ibiki, the proctor of this exam. Now sit down and let's begin the exam, Ibiki yelled as they followed him into the exam room. It looked like a classroom with windows on one side of the wall with Chunin leaning against it and a giant board in the front of the room. Pick your number to be seated, then we will begin the written exam, Ibiki explained in a commanding tone. Written exam fun, Naruto thought as he sat down. Luckily Naruto and Hinata got to sit next to each other. This test has a few rules. 1. Each one starts with 10 points. Each wrong question deduces 1 point. 2. The total score is based on your whole team. And 3. Each time you are caught cheating you lose 2 points. Get caught 5 times and your team is automatically failed. The last question is answered last. You have 30 minutes to answer the 10 questions. Okay. Start, Ibiki said after a pause. Immediately people started writing and Naruto's team knew just what to do. Naruto and Hinata used their dojutsu discreetly while Shikamaru used his shadow to copy another person's movements. Team Anko finished early and hid their answers with a genjutsu and sat there patently for it to end, noticing the room was cut down and more were being dismissed. When time was up, Ibiki stood getting their attention, pens down. It's time for the final question. If you wish to take it and you fail, then you and your team will be immediately disqualified. And will stay genin forever, he said, letting it sink in as a large number left, leaving a few less. Naruto noticed Hinata moving uncomfortably and made up his mind, stood up, slamming his hand on the desk. I don't care what you say, I will never give up, and even if I fail it still won't stop me from becoming stronger, for even a genin can kill a kage, Naruto said with determination and easing everyone's spirits, making the other teams restless except for Team Anko, because the training ground they used was Training Ground 44. Oi Anko, what are you doing here? Where do we go? Naruto asked, and the whole room looked at him like he was crazy for even knowing her except for his team. Alright brats, I am your proctor for the second part. But enough with the introductions, meet me at Training Ground 44. In 15 minutes, she said, jumping back out the window. Naruto and his team jumped out after her happily as the rest looked at them like they were insane. Naruto and his team had time to waste, so they decided to come up with a plan. Hey guys, I think we should get this done and over with as fast as we can. There's too many people on our ass. Mostly yours, Naruto, Shikamaru said as Naruto smiled wickedly. Let them come. We can take them, Naruto said, proud to have such good teammates. Hinata and Shikamaru heard what he meant, but before they could answer they heard the other contestants coming in a drove. When the others got there they saw a shadow clone. Naruto was playing shogi with Shikamaru, and what they could tell was the original making out with Hinata, much to the other genin's embarrassment or disgust. And lastly was the giant banner pinned up that read, property of Team Anko. Enter at your own risk. Alright you sorry lot of hopefuls. I need you to sign a death warrant preventing war if you die, she said, happily handing out papers as Naruto, Shikamaru, and Hinata signed it right away. The others were more reluctant, sadly. Now grab a scroll at that tent over there. The objective is to get the opposite scroll and head for the tower to where it's safe. There's a heaven and earth scroll. You will need both, she said before smiling maniacally. Oh, and don't die out there, the name isn't just for show, you know, she said, liking her lips sadistically, making a few of the genin shiver. Why should we put up with this shit? Kiba was saying before Anko shut him up, throwing a kunai at him, grazing his cheek. Because I said so? Or do you want me to make it a bit more challenging? She said with malice in her voice as the other genin glared at Kiba. When everyone signed their papers and went to the tent to get their scroll, Naruto's team got a heaven scroll and regrouped. Alright guys. I think we should use Shikamaru's idea, take out any IWA team we can get the scroll and flash to the tower. In and out, Naruto suggested, and his team nodded in agreement as they stood at gate 3. I am just going to skip the long part and say, begin, Anko's voice said over the loudspeakers as the gates opened and the ninjas rushed in. Alright guys, so we don't get lost, use this seal to know who's real and who might be an imposter. Naruto said, drawing a fox paw their palms before they took off to the trees. Do you think your summons could help? Shikamaru said, and both Naruto and Hinata nodded, going through the hand signs for a summons, and summoned Ryu and Ariel. Alright, can you please track down a team? Preferably IWA. Naruto asked, getting a nod. Hey Naruto. Theirs is a team around a mile this way, Ryu said before taking off in the direction as Team Anko swiftly took through the trees, and heading after the closest IWA team. Naruto watched the enemy to see what they were doing when he noticed they were taking it easy, big mistake. Naruto thought making an army of exploding clones and sent them forth to quickly dispatch their target. As the clones circled their camp, one could say it was a massacre when all you heard was a loud explosion followed by 100 more and screams of pain. Naruto ran in and quickly gathered their earth scroll from their stuff, ignoring the giant spot of scorched earth, and reached his team. Hey guys, let's not linger. Grab a hold and let's go, Naruto informed them, and they nodded, grabbing his shoulder. Good thinking, using a ring of exploding shadow clones, Naruto. That was a good move, should I say? Shikamaru said in reference to one of the shogi games they played a week ago when Naruto discreetly charged a game piece with chakra, so when he moved it, it exploded. Shikamaru was pretty surprised with this and happy to invent a more ninja-like game. Shikamaru also found out the reason Naruto deserved to be called the #1 hyperactive unpredictable ninja. Naruto walked over to his team. Alright guys, grab on, we're doing this in record time, he said as they warped to the tower. Hinata laced her fingers with Naruto's as they walked hand in hand to the entrance. Opening the huge doors, they came into a room and noticed it was quite small, with enough room for maybe another team and a sign that told them what to do with the scrolls. I think we should open them, Hinata said, earning a nod from both her teammates as they placed the scrolls on the ground in an X shape, opening them slowly. When they opened them, smoke started coming out of the center. Get away from them, Naruto said, and when they got a few steps back they saw a beautiful woman with long black hair and red eyes wearing a battle kimono. This was Anko's best friend Kurenai. So, you're Anko's team. And first no less, she said, smiling, seeing Hinata. She knew Hinata very well and was like a mother to her before her real mother was brought back, but she still had tea or drinks with Hinata, enjoying time together. Kurenai-chan, what do we do now? Hinata asked, wondering what to do after this. Well, I am glad to say you finished the exam in record time, but as for what to do, you have to stay in the building for the next 4 days, but besides that you can do what you want until the exam is over, she said happily as Naruto and Shikamaru fist bumped and Naruto hugged Hinata. Will Anko show up after the exam? Shikamaru asked as Kurenai nodded. Yup. Well, I have to go, so see you guys later, she said, disappearing via leaf shunshin. Naruto and the team went to check the room where they were supposed to stay in. After a thorough search, there were only 2 rooms with 1 bed, so they quickly staked claim, not wanting anyone to show up and take it. As they were walking up to the kitchen, Naruto spoke up. Phew, that's kinda lucky, don't you think, Shikamaru? Naruto asked, confusing his teammates. What's lucky, Naruto? He asked, sitting down at the table. Well, me and Hinata get a room to ourselves, and so can you. The lucky part is that you get to relax while I get to spend time with Hinata-chan, but we also have our rooms close enough we can just walk over and spend time together, Naruto summarized as his teammates made an O with their mouth nodding. Hey guys, I am going to go eat. See you later, Shikamaru said as Naruto and Hinata walked off. You know, we got 4 whole days to catch up with each other, Naruto said, wiggling his eyebrows and picking Hinata up bridal style as she giggled while he took her to their room. Naruto set Hinata in the bed and laid next to her, pressing his lips against hers and tails covering them as they started to make out. Naruto was enjoying Hinata time when their door opened, but neither of them noticed their observers. Meanwhile, a red-faced Tenten and Neji were standing in the doorway. "Dude, Neji, your cousin is, busy, why don't we come back later?" Tenten suggested, only for him to nod, leaving the couple alone. 3 days had passed by and no one saw Naruto or Hinata unless it was a shadow clone grabbing food. When asked where Naruto was, he replied with, "Boss is busy." Naruto and Hinata spent time together reading, watching movies courtesy of the TV in the room, and making out or talking. All in all, they enjoyed their time together. With Naruto and Hinata, Naruto had Hinata wrapped up close to him, holding her with his tails as she stroked his cheek with her palm and thumb. "Hinaheim," Naruto said, gaining her attention. "What is it, Naruto-kun?" she asked, wondering what could be in his mind. "I was hoping that we could have our wedding in the spring. And have been thinking about our family. I was hoping that you invite your father this Christmas. I mean, I want you to have your whole family," he told her in a soft tone, trying to approach the delicate subject. Maybe. I know you want me to have my family, and I do too. I just hope he has changed. But thanks for caring," she said, kissing him softly before more aggressively. As Naruto bit her lower lip, she opened her mouth to let him in. Naruto was exploring her familiar mouth as his hands went to her back and was rubbing it tenderly, while his other went to her lower cheeks and gave a squeeze, earning a moan. It went like that for a while till Naruto broke the kiss. "Hinata-chan," he said playfully. "I know you want to wait till marriage. And I will respect that. But I want to be with you," he said sincerely, making her smile and blush. "Thank you, Naruto-kun. Just think of your reward and it should go by faster," she said playfully as they continued to make out. Shikamaru had visited them frequently to talk or update them on what's happened. Apparently Sasuke's team was attacked by Orochimaru, making Team Anko pale because Anko had told them of her past with the bastard, but he told them Anko was fine and that she didn't meet the Snake Sanin. On the last day when everyone was supposed to gather, it took Anko, Shikamaru, the Hokage, Minato, and Neji and Tenten to pry Naruto from Hinata and the room, making him complain, "Ah man, I want to stay here, it was so peaceful," Naruto complained. "Troublesome blonde, I am supposed to be the lazy one and you the strong one," Shikamaru said, making them laugh. Suddenly everyone had a light bulb go off in their head. "Hey Naruto, you might get to fight Kiba first," they said in unison, making him jump up and take off full sail to the arena, shouting, "Then there's no time to lose," making the others think if letting him fight Kiba was a good idea. All the participants stood in rows awaiting their instructions for the exam patiently, except for our hyperactive blonde, who was bouncing on his feet in anticipation. Only 6 teams made it, a total of 18 candidates. There were all the rookie 12 in the team from Sana and 1 from Kumo, meaning that if any of them passed, the Cage and or Reikage would be coming to the leaf. The first to step up and speak was Hayate. "Well, this is truly surprising to see so many of you here. Normally there are not so many after the second exam, so we will have to do the preliminary rounds. The board will show your name and your opponents when one is unconscious, yields, is dead, or is otherwise declared unable to battle by me, the referee," he announced. Kiba, who was looking at potential participants, saw Naruto, who had a sick smile on his face, and Kiba could swear he saw the Shinigami behind Naruto. Wait, why should we do this?" Kiba asked a little hesitantly. "Hey, don't use any of this as an excuse to save your ass for hurting Hinata-san. Do I make myself clear?" Hayate said, knowing fully well what happened between Kiba and Hinata. Everyone turned to the board, and first up was Lee versus Shino. "Lee and Shino stay, the rest go to the balcony," he said, making them leave the arena. "Lee versus Shino. Are both fighters ready?" "Begin," he asked and called out after their nods. "Yosh, let's make this a most youthful match," Lee called out, getting into a stance with his right leg forward and left arm behind his back while the other just hung at his side. Shino just turned to the proctor. "I forfeit. I only have my bugs and he doesn't have chakra, so it's pointless. It's only logical," he said, much to Lee's dismay, as Guy tried to keep the flames of youth burning, and the rest who were watching were disappointed the match didn't even start. Monitor room. "Troublesome, that was anticlimactic," Shikaku, the head of the Nara clan, said to the rest of the clan heads. "Well, it is the most logical choice. He has bugs that drained chakra against an opponent who only uses taijutsu and no chakra," Shibi said in his stoic mask as usual. Back in the arena, Sakura and Ino, same as canon. Tamari vs Tenten, also same as canon. Man first Sakura and Ino slap it out and now we got a long-range wind user and a close-range weapons user. Naruto said a little disappointed before looking at the screen. Will Hinata and Strife from Kumo please make your way to the floor? Hayate asked. Drake jumped down and got ready but before Hinata could get down there Naruto stopped her with a tail and pecked her on the lips. For luck, he said as she went down with a pink hint to her cheeks. Ha luck? When I am done with you I might as fight that stupid blonde in the finals. I mean you can't be any better than the others I saw, he said. Sadly he didn't know how wrong he was. Hinata narrowed her eyes at Drake. Hayate-san please start the match, she said as Hayate noticed it was probably best to start as they were both ready called out. Begin. Immediately Drake started to charge lightning into his kunai and was going to take off before there was an arrow lodged in his shoulder making him scream, sorry but I don't feel like dragging this out. Oh and that arrow's poisoned and I only have the antidote, so if you would be so kind as to forfeit. Because I don't like you Sue. Hinata said trailing off as he noticed his arm spasm and turning blue. Ignoring the pain he charged at her, just to have his kunai knocked out of his hand and Hinata call out Volt Palm hitting him straight in the gut sending a large jolt through him with her elemental air palm shutting his nervous system down and dropping like a sack of potatoes. Winner Hinata. Medics, Hayate declared. Back with the clan heads. Ingenious she used air palm with a large amount of lightning chakra making it shut him down. Hiyashi said as the other clan heads stayed quiet thinking. Arena. Yaheim won. I knew she could do it, Naruto said dancing like a monkey as Hinata walked up the stairs just to be glomped by a happy Naruto. We get to go to the finals. I love you, he said kissing her passionately ignoring the others' looks as Kakashi and Enko giggled. Kurenai face-palmed at the two Jonin's behavior and the others were mixed. Alright may I have Neji and Choji come down please? Hayate asked as the two jumped down to the floor. Choji a little heavier made a small thud. Begin, Hayate called out once he saw they were ready. Neji took off at Choji and was going to try and shut his chakra points off when Choji called out human bullet tank spinning off towards Neji. Neji stood firm to the ground and before Choji could reach him he started spinning Kaden he said as a blue chakra orb formed shooting Choji at high speed due to his own spinning out like a rocket. Choji went into a wall making it crack and fell unconscious. Winner Neji Hyuga. Hayate called out. With monitor room, the clan heads saw Neji preform a main house technique and were now looking at Hiyashi for answers and he shook his head with his eyes wide. And not even I knew he could do it, he informed them as they returned their attention back to the screen. Arena. Will Gaara and Kankuro from Suna please step down and enter the arena? Hayate called out but Kankuro stayed still. I don't want to die. I forfeit, he called out to Hayate making the others sweat drop. Hey. What kind of preliminary rounds are these everyone's forfeiting? Naruto said disappointed mostly because he wanted to copy some good jutsu. You will make me feel alive Uzumaki. Gaara said releasing ki that didn't even bother Naruto in the slightest as he returned attention to the arena. Okay then will Sasuke and Dirge from Kumo please make their way down to the arena, he said as Sasuke walked down and Dirge jumped to the arena. HNU are not even worth me. An Uchiha elite, he said getting into the Uchiha Taijutsu stance. Whatever Uchiha. Dirge said sarcastically getting into a basic Taijutsu stance with his right arm to his side and hand in a fist while his left was brought up like a guard and his right leg in front. Begin, Hayate called out and Sasuke ran to his opponent as black flame-like tattoos spread from his neck to half his body. Bringing his fist to hit Dirge in the gut he saw Dirge try to guard and soon it turned into a fierce taijutsu battle neither side winning till Sasuke called out grand fireball sending a giant ball of fire at Dirge who was too close to dodge and got hit as Sasuke followed up with a punch to the gut and chopped Dirge's neck officially knocking him out. Winner Sasuke Uchiha. Medics, he called out as Sakura and Ino started to squeal trying to ignore the fangirls. All the contestants turned to look at the board to see who will be next. Will Shikamaru and Hayate was saying before Minato whispered something into his ear making him smile. The Hokage has just informed me that due to preference and mock-ups so Shikamaru and Nick from Kumo get a free pass to the finals. Hayate announced. Naruto laughed his ass off. Oh man you don't even have to try to be lazy. Naruto said, regaining his breath, making Shikamaru grin. They figured it would be too troublesome to have me forfeit, he said in a mock-bored tone, making the others laugh. But it was cut short when the board lit up. Will Naruto and Kiba make their way to the arena? He said, making Kiba pale, and Naruto grinned maniacally, flashing to the arena. Are you ready? Hayate asked them, and Naruto nodded enthusiastically while Kiba nervously nodded. Begin, he said as Naruto stood there like nothing. What was all that boasting, all just a scare? Kiba asked mockingly. No. I just don't know if you're worth any of my chakra, Naruto said deadpanned, making Kiba shiver at his emotionless tone. Without saying anything, Naruto channeled lightning chakra to his legs and his hands, making them stronger and faster while coating his tails in wind. Taking off at high speeds, slammed his hand into Kiba's stomach before kicking him in the face, sending him flying into the wall. As Kiba struggled to stand from the blows, Naruto and a couple shadow clones made a couple hand seals while breathing in godly storm release. Flaming pillars, he called out as his hands made small cyclones with wind, and Naruto spit fire out his mouth, fire to ignite the swirling pillars as they raced towards Kiba. Kiba was trying to dodge the flaming pillars, getting burns all over as he and Akamaru used fang over fang to put the pillars out, but what he wasn't expecting was Naruto to summon a fox the size of a wolf. Alright Ryu, let's use Storm Blitz, Naruto said, making Ryu Fox smile as they disappeared in yellow flashes over and over, each time Naruto cutting and Ryu biting Kiba over and over. When they were done, Kiba was burned down his arms and one burn on his right leg with gashes all over and wobbling as Naruto had a glint in his eyes, called out wind style. Raging Glade, bringing his hands together with palms facing towards Kiba, arms outstretched as an insane gust of wind shot out of his hands, slamming into Kiba and sending him into the wall, knocking him out as he slid down the wall. Winner is Naruto. Medics, Hayate said out of his stupor as Naruto walked up to the balcony, not even sparing a glance towards Kiba. When Naruto reached the top, he saw Hinata and Shikamaru smiling at him while the others had shocked faces. Ignoring them, Naruto walked straight towards Hinata and she met him halfway as he hugged her prospectively. No one hurts my vixen and gets away with it, Naruto said to no one in particular. Damn right, Kit, Kurama said, happy his host is no pushover. Monitor room. So, my cub really did hurt Hinata. Well, sorry about that, Hiyashi, but on the bright side, Naruto kicked his ass to make a point. Don't mess with my mate, Sume said, laughing at his face which read, mate, before he saw Hinata kissing Naruto and a tail holding her. So Shikamaru was right about him, Shikaku said, seeing the tail, getting confused looks from everyone. Before you ask troublesome questions, no, I won't tell you. Ask Naruto if you want answers, he said as they kept quiet. Back at arena. Alright, with that the preliminaries are over. Come down here and we will pair you up for your match in 1 month's time, Hayate told them as they all went down to the center of the arena. Naruto stood next to his team and was holding Hinata's hand as they waited for Hayate to speak. Alright, the finals are as follows: Naruto vs Lee vs Neji in a 3 vs 3, Hinata vs Tamari, and finally Sasuke vs Gaara. You have 1 month until you shall meet us in the arena, Hayate told them as they prepared to leave. As Naruto and Hinata were walking, Naruto spoke up. Time, he said, stopping him. She asked, I was thinking of me and you asking your father and mother to help you for the finals, and maybe it will help your relationship, he said softly, and she slowly nodded. Okay, and Naru-kun, thank you. Even after all this time you still want what's best for me, she said, kissing him passionately, and this time she licked his lips, asking for entrance, shocking him at first before he opened and their tongues danced. When they broke apart for air, Naruto looked straight into her eyes with a caring look. Of course I care about you, my little vixen, he said, smiling and kissing her cute nose, making her giggle. They decided to get on their way as Naruto flashed them to the Hyuga compound, kept walking on towards the main door when he heard an all too familiar voice. Naruto, when you're done I want you to come to my domain for more training. There is a storm coming, one that you need to be prepared for. I will train you to use your powers, Alex's voice said before disappearing, and Naruto nodded before following Hinata. When they stepped inside the compound, Hinata took the lead and greeted people when they passed by, while Naruto felt out of place and looked like a lost puppy. When they reached the study, Hinata knocked, not like she would have 3 years ago, but a strong knock, and they heard, come in, from the Hyuga head, Heishi. To say Hiyashi was surprised to see his daughter and Naruto walk in was an understatement. He actually almost fell out of his chair. Hinata. What are you doing here? How have you been? He asked in an actual caring voice, shocking the two teens. I have been good, father. I have missed you, she said as her tears started forming in her eyes, and Hiyashi did something no one would expect. He quickly hugged her with a few tears going down his face as Hinata cried, hugging her father. Naruto just quietly sat down and let them have this moment, and waited until they finally calmed down. Hinata. I am sorry for the way I have treated you. Please, I am not asking you to forgive me, but please give this old man a second chance, he said as she hugged him again and replied, Oh okay father, I will give you a second chance. Me and Naru-kun would like to talk with you, she said happily as he nodded and sat down with the two teens. Okay. But I want to remove your curse seal. I am truly sorry for what I have done to this family, he said, removing her headband in an instant. To gasp where that cursed seal was just skin. How? What? Thank God, was all that came out the once strictest person's mouth. Hinata then told him on how Naruto found her and removed the seal and how they have lived together, and filled him in on some stuff he missed. When she was finished, he noticed a few things about Hinata. 1. She was not weak. Even though she was nice, she was strong. 2. She was growing into a fine woman. And 3. He had messed up. Hinata, I am so sorry I messed up big, but I will make things right. I also noticed your hairpin. It looks beautiful on you, he said, smiling. Thank you. It was a gift from Naruto-kun, she said, smiling, and then she remembered he was there the whole time and blushed a little. Oh. Yes Naruto, I am sorry we haven't properly met, he said, offering his hand to Naruto, who shook it. Not a problem. But let me make this clear, you hurt Hinata again and you will pay, Naruto finally said, getting a nod from Hiyashi. Of course. Though I was wondering, did I see you with a tail earlier at the exams? He asked, and Naruto nodded, making his tails and ears appear. Hinata jumped on and scratched his ears, making him grumble, they're so fluffy. Father, there's some stuff you should know about me and Naruto, Hinata said, getting his attention back. So Naruto and Hinata told him Naruto's ancestry and the truth about what happened when the Kyuubi attacked, and told him everything they could think of. And that's it so far. Naruto said before bowing down. I would like to ask to court your daughter, he asked while on the ground, shocking the two. Naruto-san, you may stand. I may not be the best father, but from what I can tell, you and Hinata are happy together, so I shall allow you to have my daughter, he said, making Hinata cry tears of joy and glomp Naruto. The three of them talked for a couple hours, and it was getting close to supper time. Hiyashi-sama, please come over to the Namikaze compound to have dinner with us, and afterwards I would like you to train with Hinata-chan for the finals, Naruto asked as he stood. Of course. It would be my honor, he said as Naruto nodded, wrapping a tail around Hinata and grabbed Hiyashi's shoulder, flashing them to the Namikaze estate. Namikaze compound. Neji and Hanabi were in the backyard with Hana and Hisashi training when there was a yellow flash, exciting Hanabi. Out of the flash stood Naruto, Hinata and her father. She said, half excited, half scared, as well as the others, but what they all didn't expect was him to bow down and say, I am truly sorry for what I have done to this family. All I ask is a second chance, he said, making Hisashi smile. Neji with his eyes wide, and Hana with a small smile as Hanabi carefully approached, giving him a hug, which he returned with a smile. Hey Hanabi, I missed you. Where you throwing kunai just now? Here, let me help you with your practice, he said. At first she was nervous if he would be harsh in helping her, but to her joy he was kind, and to her a father. Naruto smiled with Hinata until they were bombarded with questions such as why Hiyashi was here, and being nice no less. We have decided to give him another chance. I know what it's like without family, so I can't stand by as my fiancé is in danger, Naruto said happily as the others nodded and went to get ready for dinner. When they had finished dinner, Naruto called them over into the living room. Alright guys, I know you missed me and all, but Alex wants me to train with him. And before you protest, I need to do this because I want to learn more about Alex and get stronger, but also he said he will help me with my deity powers. So I ask that you all help train Hinata-chan and Neji, Naruto said as Minato chuckled. Well, alright Naruto. But, just make sure you're here on time, he said teasingly, making the rest smile. Hiyashi left after dinner before everyone went to bed, and everyone was happy at his new attitude. Naruto and Hinata were in bed together with him on top of her, placing kisses down her neck and his tail swishing happily, making her giggle. Hinaheim, before I go, let's have a picnic date before I leave, he said, and she nodded happily. Okay, that sound nice, was all she said as she kissed him, and they went to sleep. That's all for now. If you enjoyed then please like, share and do comments.